The world got itself in a big old hurry. That's going to be my excuse for everything. But I will say this: we're going to do a very special compilation. We're probably going to ask for your help, just in order to know what was some of your favorite scenes over the past year, and then I'm going to ask you to send them in to me, and then I'll compile them into a funny video, and we'll release it on the week afterwards. Peppa Casey, thank you so much for subscribing to Tier 1. Appreciate you. Are we in Mind Explosions tonight? We are. I've just activated the Mind Explosion device extraordinaire. Give me 1 second. Just to make sure it's, again, like the Leftist Mafia, seasoned to perfection. And yes, before I start the show, I'm obviously going to be going over the pretty outrageously surprising news. James Somerton. Oh, sorry, you don't need to hear me twice. James Somerton has deleted, effectively, his entire YouTube channel, which is absolutely wild. Wild to see, considering, like, I've got some stats up here. I think December 2nd to December 3rd was when the H-bomb video dropped, and between then and now, it's gone. Like, he's like got rid of a lot of social medias, put anything where you could reply or send him something onto like private mode, shut his Patreon down, and now shut down his YouTube channel, which that's like, you're walking away from hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue, hundreds of thousands. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, well, what happens next? What's the step afterwards? You know, like how does this work exactly? Is this going to be a template for some people? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Like, you know, call out videos on YouTube. They're very common. There's a lot of them. You know, we throw barbs at each other. Sometimes they're good barbs. Sometimes they're bad barbs. But like, this was just like, and it's gone. It's gone. No more. Yeah. So, who? Well, James Somerton was a very, very popular YouTuber. I believe over 400,000 subscribers, who was doing a lot of videos on basically queer analysis of pop culture, from film critiques to, analysis of basically how modern media is absorbed, especially queer media, and then using queer literature to back up his points. I wasn't ever a fan, so this really didn't really do much for me. I found out more about James Somerton in that H-bomb video than in my totality, by any stretch of the imagination. He just always came across as pretentious. A couple times people sent it to me, and I'd heard nothing but bad things behind the scene, I guess. Now seeing everything come out from like Jesse and everyone else is pretty wild to see. But yeah, it's nuts. I'm gonna watch some of the other H-bomb video as time is permitting. I know it's already 5 o'clock, so I'm gonna just jump right into it. Everyone, welcome to the show. We got the Leftist Mafia coming up. Hello to YouTube's. Hello to Twitch. Welcome. Let's go into a deep dive. Oh, I guess I can push we haven't done the drama button in a while.
I know you're excited to finally be popular with women, but don't get too high on your own drama.
High on my own drama?
High on my own drama.
All right. Well, I believe let's get the dates right, just to be totally sure. I want to be authentic in my editorializing right here. H-bomber guy. Let's see the video. 4 days ago. So it was 4 days ago when this video dropped and changed the world forever. Plagiarism and YouTube by H-bomber guy. Oh, Mind Explosions is not subscribed. There you go. I originally was very interested in this because H-bomb is one of my favorite huge channels on the YouTubes, has been for a long time, and I was very interested to see it, and people were also messaging me, apparently you're in it, Lance, could prepare for a call out because it talks about Illuminati, and I was like, yeah, anything that comes is going to be totally fair. It turned out that he had actually written just, he took that one line joke that I did about Legal Eagle, where I was like, you were the one good lib, and got Legal Eagle to read it out, which was darling, and then later in the video used me as an example of a video that was unfairly taken down, but then restored after YouTube apologized. This wasn't for the Surf TV, which was taken down and restored, and then YouTube apologized, but this was for the Surf Times. Yeah, I'm one of the most censored men on the internet. Take that. They've tried to cancel me multiple times, all right? Can't shut me down. Cancel culture. Please don't shut me down, by the way. I will abide by the TOS. Whatever you ask of me, please. Alphabet. That was all a bit. But YouTuber James Somerton, I was not expecting to learn a lot about, and he was featured very prominently in the H-Bomber Guy video. It was actually a lot of it. And I mean, the whole video goes over him, internet historian, Illuminati, and just pointing out multiple times where these individuals have made big video essays, which do take a lot of time and effort, and then been really fast and loose with how they plagiarize. And in the case of James Somerton, it's more plagiarized than anything else. The majority of his content was very easy to source back to simply being, verbatim, nearly copy and pastes from other people's literature or work or reporting or articles, at which point he would do this trick that Illuminati was doing too, where they would suddenly put things in quotation marks, and then they'd start saying like, oh, this is a quote, we're doing the right thing, we have attributed, hath attributed, and then right afterwards they would then go into just narrating directly either from that person as a quote, as if they were then talking, kind of like it's an illusion, you see. And so you hear them talking and you're like, well, they're very clever, listen to this. And then afterwards, in the case of Illuminati, she was like just taking Fire Festival documentary footage, replacing a few words. With James Somerton, he got called out a few times, so he started to like be a little bit more tricky, so he'd actually do a little bit more word exchange, but they were still almost like, the key points of the writing in both the stuff they were plagiarizing, even when he changed it, was still, it was like, beat for beat, point for point, like, hey, even the metaphors, it's like, or the similes, this was like, the soldiers in 9/11 when we saw this film by, what was it, Danny Boyle, and it's like, well, that was all just, taken, copied and pasted. I didn't think this was going to happen. By the way, you're looking at a parody right now. This never happened. There is no 4-hour apology. There's no toxic gossip train. There is my AI-driven rendition of the song on the behalf I made for James, which he's still welcome to lose. We're going to talk about that. But I'll start with this. H-Bomber Guy's 4-hour YouTube video about plagiarism sets social media abuzz. The James Somerton scandal is still unfolding. It's pretty common to see a long, elaborate video show up in your YouTube recommendation. I found myself watching multi-hour takedowns of obscure foreign series I've never watched before. One particular video, clocking in at just under 4 hours, has taken off on the platform, and it is a hot topic of discussion on social media. Plagiarism and YouTube by Harry, H-Bomber Guy Brewis, digs into several important topics: reaction content, AI-generated media summaries, and of course, plagiarism. In the YouTube video, Brewis digs into not only the definition of plagiarism and examples of it across popular channels, but the incentives that drive creators to pull content from other sources and to quote it extensively without credit. These include ad revenue, lucrative sponsorships, and platforms like Patreon, which incentivize fast and consistent video production. The video is very good and definitely worth a watch if you can carve out the time. Many people can't or won't, so they won't uncover the mid-video twist, a concerted takedown of James Somerton, a YouTuber and filmmaker who focuses on queer content and media interpretation. Brewis systematically goes through Somerton's content, calling on multiple instances of which he plagiarizes or heavily lifts from without proper crediting authors from other outlets, academics, and documentaries. Brewis wasn't the only YouTuber to check out Somerton's content. Music channel Todd in the Shadows, run by Tom Nathanson, posted a video where he clocks in at 1 hour and 42 minutes. Nathanson focuses on rigorously fact-checking Somerton's content, combing through his video essays to debunk claims about Nazi Germany and aesthetics, queer discrimination, and critical responses to media. So I haven't even seen this other...
So it feels like gym and fitness culture.
An hour and 42 minute secondary takedown.
Media diets. There's another...
I've heard from a lot of people this one's incredibly good too. Like this one apparently is just like, if you needed a supplementation of examples, if you needed if you didn't get enough, let's just say that. If you saw H-Bomber Guy's video and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this yet. I've heard this one is just like, ooh, there's just the game works where you could actually apparently, we can't do it anymore. I don't want to spoil it, but I think you understand what this is about. But you used to be able to play a game that H-Bomb invented where you would just hit, find, search, you'd think of things, you'd find a single paragraph, no matter how obscure it was, and then see whether or not in Google that popped up like a single article reference, and then you'd be like, oh, so this is just copied and pasted from this online article. That's not great.
H-Bomb, if he was going to be covering any of it, and he told me he was mostly focusing on the plagiarism. And I agree that is pretty serious. But Somerton has also used the credibility he got from stealing people's work to spread some really wrong information into the world. I hesitated on saying anything about this because Somerton is not the biggest YouTuber in the world or anything, but he's certainly not nobody either. He's about as big as I am. He has a decent-sized following, and more importantly, he has a lot of respect among that following. You just heard his ideas being repeated on DeRay McKesson's podcast there, so serious people do take him seriously. And considering the severity of the things he said, I just feel like the record needs to be corrected on this. So this is just a straight, just the facts debunking of every untruth I saw him spread. I hope H-Bomb doesn't mind me piggybacking off of his video. I didn't consult him on this or coordinate it with him, except that he asked me to let him publish his first. Which is fair, he had this idea first, I wasn't trying to scoop him on it. For all I know, he's going to cover all this himself, and I did all this work for nothing. Which honestly, I am fine with. I've never done a video like this before. I don't love it. It stresses me out. But if H-Bomb doesn't cover this stuff, I want the truth to be told. And if you watch this video all the way through, I hope it's clear why I felt like I had to make this. So, without further ado, I give you the many bullshit.
So I don't have an hour and 42 minutes, even on 125, to get through this video to see how bad it goes. But what I had seen by H-Bomb was pretty much enough for me to be like, that's wow. It's one of those things where I don't know how someone got as huge as they did without possibly ever thinking that maybe this will, you know, come to haunt the channel in some way or another. Because like, you know, you can make an argument that myself, because I do a variety of things, I do React streams and I do React content, in and of itself, that practice could be theft, right? Like, how much are you really transforming it? Are you taking other people's work? Are you just criticizing it? Are you making fun of it? To be fair, the vast amount of it is me just making fun of ghouls. But there are obviously times when I've watched, say, like Internet Historian, and then, like, you know, I've just been laughing at his jokes and stuff like that. Is that really transformative? Is that truly, you know, honest? And I think people calling each other out in this arena has led to people wanting to do a lot better practices. I've seen a lot less people simply watching, say, like the Gordo metas for, like, you know, 4 or 5 hours straight, and then calling that like content generation when you're just really watching TV that's already highly entertaining because it's mass-produced television. It's, you know, Hell's Kitchen and then Kitchen Nightmares and stuff like that. So, you know, there is that part of the entire process. Maybe just the first one.
Claims of James Somerton. Number 1. Gay porn invented Skype.
A conglomerate of gay porn studios hired coding specialists in the mid-90s to streamline the display of photos online. And then
whoa! Hey, come on, we're watching this on Twitch. You're getting a little too. Oh God, it's still going. All right, wait. Well, I guess this was on YouTube. We'll be fine.
Their streaming technology was bought by a small telecommunications startup called Skype.
Okay, we're gonna start off with an easy one. You can just look that up on Wikipedia. It's not true. Skype was invented by some of the people who made Kazaa. They have no connection to porn. Also, the gay porn company Bellamy definitely did not invent live streaming. They didn't even have a website until 1999. Cam shows and live video definitely existed way before that. And just in general, to the extent that porn did create the internet, it seems obvious to me that the much larger straight porn industry would be leading the way on this. 2. J.K. Rowling once said you could magically gender transition at Hogwarts.
In 2014, J.K. Rowling stated very clearly that gay, lesbian, bi, and transgender students could, of course, attend Hogwarts. She even said that they may use magic to help deal with gender confirmation. She didn't use those exact words, of course, instead clinically stating that one could use magic to change their genitals, but the meaning was still there. So it's no wonder her being a TERF came like a punch to the gut to some.
Ooh, baby, you should find a section on Nazis. Which one? Well, what are some of the things he lied about? Is that the next one? The real reason Hitler murdered Horst is because...
3. The reason Hitler murdered Ernst Röhm is because he was fat.
Furthermore, due to the fact that a fat German man spat in the face of their master race propaganda, there was a precedent for punishing those who did not conform to these standards. There have been plenty of historians who have even postulated the idea that Ernst Röhm, Hitler's gay BFF while he rose to power, and the man who ran the progenitor of the SS, the SA, was executed not because of Hitler's anxieties or Himmler's disdain for gay men, but because he was fat, and therefore didn't fit the ideal.
Wait, what? No. This is absolutely a case in which someone was eventually persecuted for being a homosexual.
Image of the Aryan man.
All right. This event is called the Night of the Long Knives, where Hitler ordered the execution of Nazi party member Ernst Röhm and all of his allies. And the reason for that was just good old-fashioned power struggle. It wasn't because he was gay, although Hitler did use that as an excuse. And it certainly wasn't because he was fat.
I have read...
Lots of Nazis were fat. Hitler...
No, I never thought it was because he was fat, but I definitely read that was one of the things that, like, contributed to it, because he was tolerated for a long time because of how effective he was when they were rising the ranks.
It did have a fitness obsession, but it had nothing...
It was because he threatened the power of the brown shirts.
To do with this. Somerton claims plenty of historians say this. No, they don't. Name one. 4. England had a homophobic propaganda campaign against Italian tourism because Italy was turning their kids gay.
This was at the same time of European history when England had to launch a multimedia effort that included posters, pamphlets, Anglican church missives, fiction, and even spreading via word of mouth, not to send your boys to Italy. Rich families noticed that after their sons toured Europe, something about them would change after they spent a few months in Italy. The combination of a prevalent casual approach towards sex, a culture focused around...
Wait, what? Okay, so I guess I knew about the plagiarism. I didn't know he just like fabricated nonsense. This stuff is like dangerous. Like it's dangerous for the LGBTQ plus community too, to be fostering this idea of like, you know, there's a belief about going to a certain area of the world that could awaken the gay inside you, and that belief was being utilized, you know, and if it turns out you're just making this up.
Pursuing artistic romance, and simply being one of the most scenic landmasses on the damn planet, usually culminated in cold English boys' sexual hang-ups being eroded by the hordes of beautiful Italians with a when in Rome attitude when it came to 69ing with other guys.
One challenge I had throughout this list is that it's hard to prove a negative. Like, I do know that parts of Italy and parts of history were widely known for having large gay scenes, and all the countries in Europe have been calling each other gay for centuries, and I'm sure that at least one young Englishman has discovered himself in Rome. But here he's claiming the existence of a widespread propaganda campaign that allegedly spanned government, religion, and popular culture about a very specific topic. I'd love to track that down, but he doesn't give me a time frame, a quote, a picture, anything that would help me figure out what he's referring to. I tried many
Well, it's kind of better to have it vague, no?
different avenues trying to prove it true, and I just couldn't find anything. And there are comments on that video that are similarly frustrated and lost trying to track this down. Now, he'd also brought up this supposed fact about Italy on a previous video, but with a much more toned down claim.
This is obvious in early English writings about Italy, where wealthy parents were informed not to let their sons travel there, because the much more sexually fluid Italian Catholic boys would corrupt Englishmen into same-sex engagements.
I'll admit that maybe there's a scrap of truth in there. Italy did decriminalize homosexuality surprisingly early, so probably someone said this about Italy at some point. But suspiciously, he doesn't mention the associated propaganda that came with it, which I would mention at every opportunity. So, based on that, and the fact that I couldn't find anything, and the lack of corroboration, I'm just going to venture that he made it up. Now, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's just an exaggeration rather than a lie, which is why I can't find it. But if it is real, then I will say that as a fellow YouTuber, and one whose videos are much less visual than his, not having these supposed posters and pamphlets on screen is just absolutely terrible video making. If they're real, why would you not include that? Number 5, Disney.
Okay, so the topics include Disney stole from gay charities, Marvel Comics writers, Michael Bendis also was allowed, Jeffrey Dahmer inspired violent hate mobs, the SS was teaming with homosexuals, the Hitler Youth was run by homosexuals, there was a big outrage about this gay sex scene, the life and death of a gay porn star, the record box office for recent Chinese blockbusters, Disney cynically exploited, Legend of Korra was removed from streaming, I Want to Hold Your Hand, holy shit, this is a lot of claims. Why does it always keep going back to the Nazis? The Nazis invented our current body standards? Brief tangent about there's so many on this that are just like apparently factually incorrect. I haven't watched the whole video though. Bob Iger was working on the DCU, Majors Industries, pirates were philanthropists, the gay panic trial, John Crazy, the Hitchcock thing. Oh my god. All right, well, I will have to eventually watch this and catch up. These videos raise questions about the standards on YouTube, modern perception to plagiarism, and the collective debt creators of those who came before. Bruce's video also makes the excellent companion piece to another video he posted a year ago in which he investigates the origin of Roblox Who's Sound and ends with uncovering a similarly fishy situation around the video game composer Tommy Tallarico and his history of tall tales. Polygon reached out to Somerton for comment and will update the article if we receive a response. I'm sure you have all heard the news based on this. This is the current James Somerton channel. This just happened, within the last couple of hours. And it's wild because, again, that video came out by H-Bomb. And then right after the video came, there was like that initial very quick statement, just like, I want to write or say something about this, but I understand, that like when you respond right away, it's emotional. So I'm just going to take some time. And then like privatized all the comment sections on all his like videos on his like, public channel community page. I wonder if those are still up. Well, those are gone. And then the day after that, took down his Patreon, which is like, that's giving away, I think it was like, they were guessing, you didn't reveal the amount, but it would have been like around $200,000. Plus, the channel was way higher than 268 subscribers back then. I think it was around like closer to post 400,000, meaning that your videos and ad revenue and sponsorships, like you could have been clearing anywhere from like $400,000 to like $500,000, and that's kind of a conservative estimate depending on how much you were doing everything together, which would be wild. And in addition to everything, like, does an innocent man flee? Would be the other part. I mean, yeah, the mass deception, the misogyny, the various forms of plagiarism on a monstrously huge scale, the theft from other smaller LGBTQ plus creators, everything going together. I mean, yeah, it eventually, I guess, boiled over into this. So yeah, I tried looking at the Social Blade, what had happened, but since the channel's gone, it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, looking at this, 2023 1124, 2023 1125, so around here we're looking at like 44,000 video views plus 1,000 subscribers every couple days. And then I guess around here is when the H-bomb video drops. And then there's initial recovery, and then a massive minus 3 million video views in a single day. Don't know why it bounces back here. I'm not sure what's going on. Live. Oh, did you? Oh, that was just live subscriber count. And then I took a screenshot, or sorry, I didn't take the screenshot, but the Wayback Machine had a screenshot that shows, I think, a little bit more accurate picture, which is once this happens, it just starts to, you know, immediately plummet from the H-Bomber guy video on. So, yeah. I guess we got to get H-Bomber guy to investigate some other things now, like Matt Gaetz or the IDF. Because he seems to have a really amazing ability to go deep into these topics and you know, have a real world effect. I mean, it also does speak to James Somerton as a public figure and character for everything that he's done. Like, at the end of the day, he's kind of the one who's like, okay, I'm gone. You caught me. You know. Yeah, I can't say, obviously. There's no way of knowing, but you know, it's certainly interesting. The fantastic Jesse Gender released this video.
Boy,
on the
there has
topic.
been some drama. Hey there, interwebs, I hope you're all doing well. So today, I kind of want to have a little bit of a brief discussion on an issue that I consider to be very important surrounding the ongoing drama and discussion around the YouTuber James Somerton, who was a fairly well-known, especially within queer spaces, LGBTQ video essayist that has since been highly publicly accused of massive plagiarism in H-Bomber Guy's recent wonderful video, Plagiarism and YouTube. Now, in this video, I'm actually not going to be talking about the plagiarism issue specifically, but something related to it that's come up in the conversation a little bit, but I think needs to be brought up a little bit more, even beyond just the really important and necessary discussions on plagiarism in the YouTube space that we are currently having. And on top of that, I'm going to touch upon, though not go into extreme detail because I'm not here to spark my own drama or relitigate stuff, but I'm going to touch upon an issue that related to myself when I had interactions with James Somerton about a year ago that led to its own very public drama as well. Now, for those of you who have not seen H-Bomber Guy's video, which I highly recommend that you do because it is amazing, but considering it's 4 hours, I understand if not everyone has gone through it yet.
You know what's wild is hearing that so much now, because like you never used to hear that. There used to be these video essays that came out that it's like, oh, the new ContraPoints is out. It's like 2 hours and 48 minutes, and then it was just like, you know, it's required watching. So you just assume you'd have to be like, okay, fine, yeah, I'll go watch it. It's gonna be wild, isn't it? It's gonna, oh yeah, I can't wait to see the costumes. And now people are kind of like, I understand that all of you, you know, you could be busy, work-life balance. It's really hard right now. Everyone's having a hard time. Like, it kind of speaks to 2023. I guess the tail end of 2023. You know, we're not sliding into 2024. By the way, we're just fucking crashing. We're like Kool-Aid guys smashing into each other. Oh, there's juices everywhere. It's just, yeah, it's a disaster. Oops.
To over summarize, and again, I highly recommend you actually watch the video. Like, you really should. It is excellent on so many levels, not just like, you know, causing drama with other YouTubers, but really getting to the heart of why these issues are important surrounding plagiarism. The basic crux of the issue surrounding James Somerton is that James Somerton has been massively, or at least is being accused of massively plagiarizing tons of his videos, down to the point where like most of his videos just seem to be regurgitations of other people, and specifically other queer people's work, to the point that the only thing he seems to have added, in his own words, in his work were a lot of massive misogyny. And the discussion that has come out of that and is really needed is how we as YouTube video essayists and people who enjoy video essayists in the YouTube sphere, especially in, more progressive leaning and try to be accepting spaces, try to hold ourselves accountable in terms of how we talk about other people's ideas and try to create ideas together and not plagiarize from other people. I mean, plagiarism is a really important deal for numerous reasons that H-Bomber.
Did he seriously delete his channel? It's like he either privatized or deleted all the content off of it. It's just a husk now. It's just a holding space. You can't say for sure. It hasn't been verified. I can tell you from someone who's had 2 channels deleted by being mass flagged by baddies, it doesn't look like that. Like the channel's just gone. Like it doesn't even search, and like it says the page you're looking for no longer exists when they delete your channel. And then when they can turn it back on too. They can resurrect it afterwards because obviously it's on their end. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I got it back. Thanks everyone online for making noise.
Our guy got into, and if we, speaking as video essayists, want to consider ourselves as people doing professional work, or important in the sense that we're trying to have
how about
important-ish conversations about really important issues and trying.
We got the Leftist Mafia coming up very shortly, everybody. We have multiple guests this week, so it's going to be a fun show. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Rebecca and David may not be available tonight due to I believe Rebecca has to work late and David might be sick. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's starting in just a couple of minutes.
Trying to, inspire thoughts in others, we need to be holding ourselves to a certain standard. And that's something that I myself, want to hold myself accountable to. And I think that's a really necessary conversation. But something that sort of came up around this and touches upon that issue that also relates to the stuff that I had going on with James last year is something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. And that is about community and solidarity. Now, again, I am not here to relitigate my own personal drama with James Somerton.
Clean up your room.
At this point, his career is dead as a doornail, it seems like. And
WVal35, thank you.
Moving past
I appreciate it.
But just to kind of summarize it a little bit to get into what I'm talking about here, the crux of the issue of what happened with James is that he sparked some Twitter drama, is that he, said something along the lines of Nebula, the streaming service that I am on, and with a bunch of other creators, has no, quote, queer content. And his argument was that he was saying that there's no content that was specifically queer focused. And I'm like, there are a ton of queer creators. I'm on there. Maggie Mayfish is on there. Abigail Thorne is on there. Princess Weeks is on there. Numerous other queer creators are on there as well who, not always every single video making stuff about queer issues, but are always from a queer perspective and quite often are about queer issues specifically. I mean, I make tons of trans, focused issue content all the time. And even when I'm not focusing on trans issues, I definitely bring a queer perspective into everything that I talk about. So, I called him out on that, and he, again, his own form of drama, it escalated very quickly, and I won't, again, it's pointless to get into all of that at this point. But the issue for me coming out of all of that really honestly hurt me the most, beyond the bullshit, was this sense that he didn't feel in community with anybody, and then it took me, as well as several of my other Nebula creators, Princess Weeks and Maggie Mayfish specifically, by the way, to kind of call him out and say, no, that's bullshit. And it kind of spoke to how he had this kind of sense that he was the voice for the gay community. That he had to carry all this weight, and he wanted to carry it. He wanted to make this great man myth about himself, that he was this figure for the queer and trans community to speak for all of us. And that by not having him on Nebula was somehow detrimental to queer voices everywhere. And to the point of ignoring that there were other very queer voices there. And I think that this speaks to a little bit of his misogyny, considering there are a lot of women queer creators and non-binary queer creators on Nebula, but also there are, gay men creators. But I think also it sort of speaks to this idea that we have in our society of this great man myth. Our society likes to put this idea of individuals and great man myths upon us all. That we're supposed to be these arbiters of issues and become these standard bearers of society, the heroes of the hero's journey, as I'll be talking about
Sounds
in a video
exhausting.
that'll be coming out very soon in the next few weeks that I've been working out with my co-writer Aronach about Star Wars. And that sort of mentality, it allows us to push down everyone around us and erode solidarity with the
I can't wait for Jesse's movie to come out. Yeah, it does sound exciting.
people who it is important to be in solidarity with, and it is how people who supposedly stand up for progressive movements end up harming many others, because it becomes about this lack of willing to listen to community and lack of willingness to be held accountable when you screw up, or lack of willingness to listen to other perspectives other than your own. James, and I've seen many.
Peacefire Now. Thank you very much for the rating party of 5. Can everyone go to twitch.tv/Peacefire Now and give a follow back?
Others, it's not just James.
Appreciate that.
May talk about, like, I stand up for trans issues. I talk about trans people all the time. But because they're not actually in community with trans people, because they push us down, because they ignore us, because they want to, benefit
nice
themselves, they don't actually end up talking about trans issues in a way that's inclusive. They think they're patting themselves on the back by doing so, but they're not. And it's why I try my best to listen to other voices, be in community with other people who have different perspectives than my own, and try to include those voices as much as I can in my own work as best I can. It's why I try and talk about issues related to BIPOC folks, Jewish folks, Palestinian folks, many other folks. That means being inclusive of them, not speaking for them, listening to them, bringing them into the conversation. And I think most importantly, being willing to hear when you fucked up, to listen to criticism. I have made no bones about the fact that I have fucked up things in the past in my videos that, people have come to me behind the scenes and said, that's kind of messed up. And I'm like, and I try to listen and hold myself accountable to it and try to learn and grow from it. And I think that's really, really necessary. Our society tries to tell us that we shouldn't listen to others, that we should always just we try to reject criticism in any way, shape, or form, and then put that criticism up on the people criticizing us. It's that same thing I talk about with TERFs all the time.
I got the Leftist Mafia get to go in the background. I think they're just waiting to start the show.
Or like J.K. Rowling, or the stuff that happened off of Hogwarts Legacy, right? Which is, people will get upset when you're saying, maybe this isn't the way to help the trans community when they think they're being helpful to the trans community, and then they get angry at trans people, say, you're being the bully, you're being the woke scold, you're being whatever. And I think that comes out of not a place of outright hatred, sometimes it does, but it comes more out of this idea of not being willing to see yourself as the bad person, not being willing to take criticism, and also not being in community with other people. And that goes back to the idea of how our society tries to make us individualists. We are supposed to carry everything on our shoulders, to try to care about others. I appreciate it. And try to be their hero, become the victor for them, their savior. But by doing so, we isolate ourselves from them. We even subconsciously start to think we're more important because we are stalking for all of these issues. And by that point, then you don't listen to people when they say they have criticism. Because I could never hurt you. I'm not racist. I would never have said anything racist. But when someone says, I'm not saying you're an active bigot, I'm saying you said something that perpetuates harmful stereotypes or harmful ideas, or ignores these very important people, or erases these creators or people that came before, but you don't listen to that because you're like, I could never do that. I'm not the bad person. This cognitive dissonance. And so I know I've kind of gotten off track from the James Somerton thing, but it connects back in the sense that, what I saw in that situation, even beyond the plagiarism stuff, which I didn't really know about at the time, was someone who just thought that he could speak for everybody, that he could stand for everybody, that by talking about trans issues in his videos, which he did all the time, though it turns out he was just copying from other people, but at the time I didn't know that, but by saying that, he could erase trans people because I'm talking for trans people, so I should be more important than them because I'm talking about gay issues plus trans issues as well. So why not let me be the person to talk for everybody? And that really sucks because the only way forward is through intersectionality, through community, to build solidarity amongst people, to build community with people you trust who are going to, talk to you, willing to have conversations with you, to help you learn, but also call you out when you fuck up, and then also you having to realize that they're not there for you to learn from. They're there to be your allies, to be your community, but also who want to help you grow as well, and as you hopefully help them grow. That's what solidarity is all about. It's not trying to, use other people.
All right, we got the Leftist Mafia. Give me 1 second.
Пошли. Все вместе. Какие ваши доказательства?
They want you to comply.
Cancel culture is about canceling.
Cocainum.
Up yours. Woke moralists. Up yours.
This is systematic bullying that's happening.
Woke moralists. Up yours.
And they believe that they can then
Woke
shut
moralists.
us up.
Up around and find out.
Up yours. Woke moralists.
They seem animalistic is what I mean.
No, they're worse than animals.
The woke mob, they ruin everything.
They stop Ben Shapiro from going to events and speaking. They stop Ann Coulter from doing it.
I will never surrender even a single inch of ground to a pitchfork mob.
You never cave to the mob.
We will never bow to the mob. Ever. No matter what.
Do you see the final expression of cancel culture in terrorist groups like
Up yours.
We'll see who cancels who.
Hey.
How's it going, everyone?
How's it going? It's going good on my end. How are all of you doing?
Yeah, we've got Jeff Wiggins here. We've got Alejandro Caraballo
Hi,
back.
Jeff. Hi, Alejandra.
So nice to have you all.
It's the
Before we have Jeff and Alejandra introduce themselves, we have some really bad news. So we kicked David Dole and Rebecca off the show permanently.
Just in time for the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. So they're no longer with us. We had to no, of course. They'll be back next week. But we have some great guests instead. Jeff, this is your first time on. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Jeff Wiggins. I am from Columbus. I have a YouTube channel called We Gonna Be All Right, and I am glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you. Alejandra,
Nice to meet you.
welcome back. Always happy to talk to you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. So I'm Alejandra. My day job is a clinical instructor at Harvard Law School. And then, I do a lot of stuff on social media and LGBTQ activism on the side.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah.
Just so you both know, it's a running joke that people are getting kicked off the show. It wasn't like, it's not meant to be an intense like intro. Because I know some people jump on.
Every week it seems like someone doesn't show up, and because the show is already replaced two hosts. The ongoing gag is every week when someone's not here, it's because, well, we've got some bad news.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to drama bait you at the very start or anything.
Yeah.
But to be fair to us, when we say 2 hosts gone, only one of the hosts we gone on bad terms. The other host that left, still friend of the show, actually came on a couple of weeks ago as a surprise. So we're still Ole, of course. We're talking about Ole. She's wonderful.
Yes, we love Ole. But speak for yourself. I'm actually really good friends with Blair still. No, I'm just kidding. No.
So
back to that H Bomberman video. Oh my God. We'll talk about that. Let Alejandra and Jeff talk for a little bit. What are we doing? We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
No, I was just laughing because I don't think I'd heard your intro with the woke moralist by like.
It slaps, right?
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because see, 11 Labs introduced a new feature where you can do voice conversion, where you can turn like one person's voice to another. So I like downloaded an acapella by Eminem and decided to like have my like a version of Jordan Peterson like try to rap Eminem
and is
doing
good?
the voice conversion, and it is absolutely hysterical.
Can you play it for us? Can we hear this? Is it somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know how I can share the like without putting just my mic next to the speaker. I think that might actually work. Hold on.
You could send the
And y'all don't mind
link to Mike.
if I mute this on my end, right? Like y'all are good if I just mute. Okay. Because I would rather not. I would rather not hear it. I'm good on my end.
I gotta hear this though. Yeah. I respect the other decision now.
I want to make sure
show somewhere with his chicken fantastic will enjoy them and nut rounds that's made a try to help keep some people through tough times. Thought I gotta keep a few points, lads, just in case, because they can do sunshine. Backers not hungry, looking at me like just one time. I know there was a town where it was. Oh my God. Thing that gonna grab, I still rap like I'm on my narrow munch grinds about 20 rounds. Look some chart when you come by, a pair with the same color of mine. You get too big and pitch on the shrine. You abstinct to you like that one line of step. Oh no, back on the map, there's that peep one with our chart that step takes that link.
All right, I've had enough.
I haven't gotten a chance to add it to the instrumental track, but you get the idea.
It's funny because it comes in and out.
You need to train it on his crying voice though, because that I think will be even more amazing.
I agree.
We need to hear the voice cracking and the really high pitched Kermity voice that he's got. That's like his that's like his serious voice. We need to get the crying one in there.
Okay, so I don't know if you all wanted to jump into the topics right away, but I've been waiting to talk about this all week since I've seen it. It's a video, and it is of friend of the show, RFK Jr., and he was interviewed on Fox News, and this to me blew my mind because I think that Jesse Waters teed this up to be like a softball question and for him to go on some anti-elite rant. But I know everybody already saw this, but let's just watch.
On Jeffrey Epstein's jet, were you? I was on
Keep your eyes on the Chiron.
Jet 2 times. I was on it.
Hold on. You gotta pause it. Can you put it louder? It's kind of low. But also, I'll just put my volume louder too. But we got to hear that again. People really need to.
That's the most I can pump the volume. Unfortunately,
I put the volume in my ears up louder so I could hear it better.
Okay. Yeah, these are all Twitter videos, so they're not the best quality, but yeah. Let's
play this again because it really is amazing. I just what is going?
Have
through
you
this
seen
man's
this?
Mind? I have. Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You weren't ever on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, were you? I was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 2 times. I was on it in 1993.
Wait, it gets better.
And I was on it and I went to Florida with my wife and 2 children to visit my mom over Easter. My wife had some kind of relationship with Glenn Maxwell. And they offered us a ride to Palm Beach, so I went then.
Okay, hold on. I mean, it's pretty positive. It's pretty bad to straight up be like to be asked this question and not be able to say, no, of course not. I've never been on his plane, and not even like, yeah, there was just one time I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I've been on twice. And then he keeps going. And then he goes, you know what? Not only that, my wife, best buds with Ghislaine Maxwell.
She's friends with Ghislaine. Yeah, this is so wild to me.
Well, it's crazy how he dug a hole like waist deep, but then when he kept going, he was 6 feet under by the time this was over.
Yeah, and he just
volunteered it. He volunteered all this information. This is not under torture. He's like, oh sure, let me tell you about my good friend Jeffrey Epstein.
It's so wild to me. Like I still am not over this, and I've seen this like multiple times.
This has got to be an ex-wife or something, right? Because his current wife plays is in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's an actress.
And Modern Family, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Modern Family. And who does she play on Curb Your Enthusiasm? Larry David's wife, right? Or,
yeah, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm sorry. What we ain't gonna do is skim over the kids. Like the kid, you got the kids involved, my dude.
Oh, he put that in there to basically say, I obviously wasn't going to the pedo island. I was with my kids. We were going to a family vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's worse.
Yeah, I was saying it had the opposite effect. I'm like, so you brought your kids to the island, man? Dang.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, he also makes sure to say that they went down to his mom's in Tampa for Easter. They didn't go to any islands. He's really being... he's being methodical about giving every bit of detail to give himself an out. But I just wonder how this even came up. Do we know?
Right.
Do we know how this even came up?
The Chiron here says FBI lies about Epstein's flight logs. So is he trying to make it seem like RFK wasn't on the flight or something? Like I don't know what the setup was. I didn't see the first part.
Okay, we gotta
play the video and watch the Chiron change from FBI lies about Epstein's flight logs to what it goes into next. Play it.
My children and Mary, my wife, to Rapid City, South Dakota, to go fossil hunting for a weekend.
We were going fossil hunting, okay, nothing else.
I was never on his jet alone. I've been very open about this from the beginning. This was in '93, so it was 30 years ago. It was before anybody knew about Jeffrey Epstein's, his nefarious issues, and I agree with you that all of this information.
Oh, there it is.
Update it.
This is amazing to me.
I think it's clear what's going on here is that basically, like, they realize that RFK Jr. is pulling more from Trump than
That's it.
Democrats.
That's
And
100%
they're
it.
like,
Oh yeah.
We've got to sink him. Like
They've been doing it for a while. This has been like a thing. Fox News. Sean Hannity was doing it not too long ago. He brought him on, and it's a completely different interview once he said that he was going independent, because they just saw the writing on the wall. Like, this guy doesn't poll well with Democrats. He's half like anti-vaccine skepticism, transphobia. Like, he's not a popular candidate amongst potential Biden voters, but he is amongst Trump voters. So immediately they just switched, and then now they've been doing this ever since. Kind of like, how can we destroy the guy?
Yeah.
The wild thing is to have your entire base be a bunch of conspiracy theorists, and then throw out that I was on Epstein's plane twice.
Yeah, no kidding. The final boss of conspiracies.
He was undercover. He was secretly trying to disrupt it or something.
On vacation.
Yeah.
One of the good ones.
Well,
He's one of the good
it
Epstein
makes
flight
sense
logs.
Yeah, it makes sense that this is in service of Trump. Thank God Trump doesn't have any, dark history with Epstein or anything like that. So
yeah, of course. No, of course.
Least.
I was about to say, if it wasn't bad enough, a week before maybe not a week before this, but he told Newsweek that he was only on a plane once. So there's that.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay.
The plot thickens.
Maybe he gave that interview because he legitimately thought he was only on once. The interview came out, and someone contacted him and was like, "No, don't you remember we were on that other time?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." Now that he said twice, though.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe next time he'll remember a few more trips.
It's not good. It's definitely not good.
I just love how the premise at first was FBI lies about Epstein flight logs, and the Chiron changes to RFK Jr.
I was on his plane.
How dare the FBI says I was never on Epstein's plane? I was on twice. God damn it!
And he keeps going. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
He's gonna keep going. He's gonna drop the whole maybe Epstein didn't kill himself.
Real answers on what happened to Jeffrey Epstein and any of the high-level political people that he was involved with. All
like you?
Should be open to public, transparent, and I don't see why any of those records would have any redactions in them. Why would we be hiding that from the American public?
Well, yeah. So that was amazing. I had to talk about that. I didn't do a video about that this week on the show, but it was just on my mind, and it was living in my head rent free, so I had to bring that up.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing. It really is amazing. I think the funniest comment I saw, I forgot who said it on Twitter, but someone was like, I'd keep shopping that campaign slogan. I was on Epstein's plane twice. Vote RFK.
So on the subject of conservatives telling on themselves, there was another video that dropped today.
Oh, today? I thought you were actually going to talk about, because since we last saw each other on Thursday, the Ben Shapiro video on their new movie, where he tried to sell it and say, and he accidentally let it slip about how they wanted to make it into a documentary. Here, if you have another video, let's play that first. And while you're doing that, I'll pull up the Ben Shapiro
Okay,
one.
perfect. Yeah, because this is kind of related to that. So this is of Michael Knowles, and he kind of just he inadvertently admits that like it's possible to become gay, which it's not possible if you're not gay. But just listen to the way that this is like this reeks of the whole Kaya Rychik Fox News interview where she's like, an LGBTQ people, they make it so alluring. It's like, wait, you think it's alluring? Because if you're straight or cis, I don't think that you're going to find it that alluring. Like, I don't find heterosexuality alluring at all. But okay, well.
I gotta be honest, Mike. The parties made me a little bi. It was the parties. Like, come on,
well,
like it's the music. It's crazy. Like you see One Pride, you're like, okay, I get it. I see it now. Yeah,
they are fun.
Breaking news story. I'm really pleased that we were able to get this story, and we did not do the investigation. This investigation was undertaken by a wonderful news group. This would be Sound Investigations. I am joined here by one of the journalists, Arden Young. Arden, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
So Arden, before we get into how you conducted this investigation, what it all means, I want to just show people some clips of what you've uncovered, because some of us have suspected
Hold on,
that
is he about
Pornhub
is he about to
and
show
its
us
parent
porn?
company, formerly
I mean, what I have, this is a new report on Pornhub, but before we get to that, I have some clips to show you. What?
I haven't watched the whole thing, so who knows?
called MindGeek. Now it's called ALO. They have to keep changing the name because they're an evil company and they don't want to have to face the music. Some of us have suspected that they've been up to these kinds of activities for a while. Here it is in their own words.
Let's say you're 12 years old, you're still figuring out your sexuality, maybe even your gender. Wouldn't it be helpful to see, not a celebration, but just like maybe a normalization of something that you think is what you want, you know? Probably helps a lot. Let's say I was 12 and I saw like Transangels, I saw all these different sites. It would.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this a Project Veritas video? It feels like their style, because like they're really big into catfishing. I don't know if you've seen those kind of videos where like basically they'll get someone on like 6 or 7 dates and they finally get this kind of information, like, you know, a couple drinks deep on the 6th or 7th date, and then all of a sudden it's like the person after the investigation will be like, no, I was just saying whatever I could to like, you know, get them to like go out with me. I was just making, I'm not saying this is that, but it looks like a James O'Keefe production.
And I think if you also listen to carefully to what's going on there, it's also like what we call like leading the witness. He's like seeding the conversation and framing it in that way to get him to respond in a specific way to like a loaded question. And then like you said, this is basically they target these people via dating apps, and then they take, and almost always it's like gay folks, which makes it interesting because then like whoever's doing this is actually going on multiple gay dates.
Catfishing,
you know,
for work,
living out a suppressed fantasy. Anyways, but yeah, like, I don't know. Just I guess continue.
What was the name of that guy? You made me think, Alejandro, of that Arizona guy who was outed on Grindr. I can't think of his name. Ethan something right now. Ethan Schmidt, is it? Who harasses Petco if they have like pride flags. When he was caught on Grindr, I think he said something to the effect of that, like he has the gay apps on his phone so he could investigate the homosexual or something. Like, I'm paraphrasing, it's been a while, but maybe this is like similar. I don't know. Made me think of that.
Help me figure out what I do like and what I don't like. I need to try to push stuff that's more.
That music is very gay in the background.
Accepted. Like putting
I'm checking out their website. It's not James O'Keefe.
You wouldn't get that on a normal mainstream site. So test it out. See if you get a bigger audience with it. See if you can convert somebody, right? Like maybe somebody who's never looked for anything like that might find it interesting and click on it. Same thing for bi stuff. Same thing for gay.
That's another senior scriptwriter at MindGeek, now called ALO, but we all know it as Pornhub. That's just the biggest pornographers on the planet. 2 major discoveries here. One, they know that kids are looking at their content. They're totally fine with it. It obviously helps their business model. We all knew that. It's crazy to hear it in their own words. We all knew that. The second discovery, to me, is the most shocking. Senior scriptwriter here at the biggest porn company on earth saying, yeah, we're trying to convert straight guys into looking at gay porn or trans porn. We're always trying to push the boundaries. We're not even just serving the market that already exists for porn. We're trying to create new markets by creating new desires in people that they do not previously have, that are certainly out of the mainstream, that are considered more deviant. And we're going to slip that content into the porn to expand the palette, I suppose, of the customer. I can't believe they're admitting this.
I know. I mean, I was sitting across from him. That was probably one of the last things I was expecting.
I can't believe that Michael Knowles is admitting that he thinks this is a thing that can happen. It's a bit of a self-report.
He's the same one that was like, oh, there's all that hypno sissy porn. I saw that. Like, this guy is just the biggest closet case I've ever seen. I mean, he literally, I don't know. We should just ban failed actors from society.
Yeah.
I think like, that's part of it. But like, he was in a gay sex scene in a movie, in college,
in a music video as well.
Oh, in a music video too?
Oh yeah, there's a music video where he's like, it's about basically homophobia in high school, and he plays a gay student who's holding like hands and cheering at the very end of it with his partner and everything.
Wow.
There's also a video of him, let's just say, knowing how to expertly do fellatio on a man. Like,
yeah, I saw that.
I'll just leave it at that. Like, it is like, no straight man would be that good at pantomiming that. Like,
he's put a lot of thought into how it would occur.
In the mirror.
Yeah, this, I think, I was thinking that Mike Johnson was like the biggest closet case in the country. No, I think it is actually Michael Knowles. Because he just keeps like telling on himself. I don't know if there's any other like good stuff in this, but we could watch for a little bit. But to any person who ever says that it's possible to turn gay, like they're in their phase where I was when I was like 17, where it's like, okay, if I just don't think about being gay, then I could not be gay or something. Like, it's like the pray away the gay phase where you're still in denial, you're not willing to accept yourself. He's in this phase right now, and he's down the straight path. Like, he has a wife and everything. So, it's a lot of work to have to change course and be to
be fair, he could be bi or pan. It's not.
That's true.
It's not beyond.
That's true. He strikes me as more of like either he's gay or he's like into something like that's really weird, like straight people weird. Like, I don't know. I won't divulge more than that because I don't want to shame straight people. But I don't know. It's just
Well, I was going to say, like, if he's trying to deny his feelings for men, like, shouldn't he just stop watching Idris Elba movies and keep it moving and leave people alone? I mean, geez.
Well, you got to understand, he's Catholic. And so, like, part of that is, like, having to live with guilt and, like, constant temptation. And so, like, the whole point of it is, like, making yourself feel miserable all the time. So
it sounds like its own fetish.
And if everyone else isn't miserable and is enjoying it, then like it's a problem, and he needs to fix it. And by doing that, he needs to like eradicate LGBTQ people from the planet.
Yeah. It's not just about like, oh, I'm being homophobic to like throw people off the scent. It's like, I'm homophobic because I mean, everybody wants to be gay, okay? We all want to fuck hot guys, but we all just suppress those memories deep, okay? I'm doing it. Like, that's what it comes.
I put in the work.
Yeah. We don't give in to these temptations.
Him to say, my instincts were to just ask him about the kinds of things they were marketing to people, because I knew he does primarily work on gay and trans pornography sites. That's mainly what he writes. And he was very, very open. He was very matter of fact. And in fact, he, like you saw, he even viewed kids viewing porn as a positive thing.
So you're conducting this interview. This guy obviously has no idea what's going on. But you'd think if you were working for so degenerate a company and you were engaged in such, even today, frowned upon kinds of behaviors, you might be a little, you might play it a little closer to the vest, right? He didn't, though. Did it take much prodding, or was he just open about this?
He was extremely open about this, and this, we're talking about Dylan in particular, the senior script writer for ALO. He was extremely open, extremely obliging, did not think my questions were strange or out of place at all. And it goes to show you kind of the mindset these employees of this company are in. Porn in all of its forms are so normalized to them, and they're so callous to something as serious as a child being able to view pornography.
But of course, we all know, and in fact, in one of your interviews, you mentioned that the median age of exposure to pornography now for kids is something like 11. Frankly, I'm surprised it's that high. I would even suspect it might be lower. Maybe today it is lower. We all know that kids are accessing porn, and that's how the porn companies cultivate and groom their future crop of customers, because kids' brains are very, very malleable. If they get addicted to this stuff when they're 10 or 11 years old, they're going to stick with it for a very long time, most likely. Again, it's horrifying. They should be prosecuted for it. It's just evil. It's great to hear them admit it. The thing that is so shocking to me, I guess, is that we have been told for my entire life by the left, by the pro-pornography people, by the sexual revolutionaries, that sexual desire is innate and immutable. It's an orientation. Nobody becomes gay, bisexual, trans. It's not that you're born that way. And how dare you suggest, we'll probably be kicked off of social media for even repeating what this top porn employee who writes the stuff, who knows what he's talking about, what he is admitting on camera. We'll probably be kicked off even for repeating it. But what he is saying is, yeah, nah, that's all bunk. Actually, yeah, you can convert people. That's how our business model works. You got to slip in this weirder stuff. So you take a guy who's been straight his whole life, who's never entertained any other kind of thought, and then you try to get him. Well, actually, you went even in greater depth with him. Let's play that clip.
The thing is like when you write for like Sean Cody, which is like primarily gay targeted, when you write for Trans Angels, which is trans female presenting targeted, you also try to see how much you can take of that and bring it to mainstream vanilla content, right? Because like Brazzers and Reality Kings is predominantly for straight men, but you try to like push the envelope as much as you can. Be like, okay, can I hint at like bi content here? Can I like talk more about like, what if we brought a trans talent onto the site? And you kind of like take those risks to try and broaden it a little bit more, even though you know that you have a site dedicated to that, right? Like you're always trying to push it a little further. Because the thing about Trans Angels, which is a site, it's female presenting trans women, and like they sell that to straight men. Like,
oh my God! It is so obvious what's going on here.
There's
press pause. They completely misunderstood what this guy was saying. That's what this comes down to. He's not talking about convert them as in converting them sexually or whatever, which we were joking about because that's ridiculous to begin with. The guy's talking about converting them to paying subscribers.
Yeah, conversions.
He goes, right, because straight content is easily found, like, you know, man and woman, what is it, like MF or whatever they call it. That's all over the internet. You could easily find that shit for free. That's
Mike Figueredo, MF,
whatever it's called. I don't know. But when you get down to what, like in the porn categories where like it's like specific niches, like gay content, trans content, they're notoriously like the driving like force for like financially for a lot of porn companies nowadays, because people, that's not so easily found for free online, so people who search that out usually need to pay for it. That's what he's talking about when he's talking about converting them. It's so obvious. It took me to hear the whole conversation, and then you hear that he's talking like business. Like the guy thinks he's telling this woman about his industry, like how the business works, and she's contorting it to mean something completely different.
Sounds like what you talk about if someone asked on a date, what do you do? And it's like, oh, I work for this company. And it's like, okay, what do you do for the company? Here's what we do. And then they specified, and then afterwards it went down. Like, I think you're 100% right. It was about conversions, not about converting people sexually with, the secular flesh and better desires. And we can't resist when we see different things kind of stuff.
Right. It's super. No, go ahead.
What was also interesting to me is like, she's like saying that like, she asked those questions. It was very clearly a man asking those questions. So like she wasn't even present for any of that. Like, so that is another like weird thing where she was like presenting as like she was the one there doing the investigation and she wasn't. That's just like something I picked up on because like it was very clear that the person asking questions was a man.
Yeah, and Matt, even if, and it's clear what he was actually talking about, but even if he were saying that he was trying to convert someone's sexual orientation, he said he was trying. Knowles took it as, oh, confirmation. That's something you can do.
more like validation.
Yeah, like, oh, valid. Yes, I do it. I mean, yes. So yeah, he was determined to take that the wrong way.
Yeah, and listen, if you are one of the conservatives who are fearful that you can be converted to being gay, test it out. Like, you can literally test this out. Sleep with someone of the same sex, and if you don't like it and you don't start being attracted to them, then guess what? Congratulations, you're straight. Like, I promise you can't change what is innate, because a lot of us gay people have tried. Right? Like, a lot of us have tried to just we've tried to pray away the gay. Like, when I was 16, I was one of the kids who accessed porn, and I was trying to watch straight porn to, like, ungay myself, but it just repulsed me. Like, it just...
Or you watching that straight porn at a young age turned you gay.
Maybe.
Science does say.
According to Michael Knowles,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's
like,
so ludicrous. It's so ludicrous. It's like, listen, obviously Pornhub has its issues. Many of which they, yes, yes, a lot of things to criticize Pornhub about. This is the conservative MO, always missing what's right there in front of them to chase a conspiracy theory. They could have easily done an expose on Pornhub that actually got to actual legitimate issues with the platform, the website, the company. But no, they chose to go after this insane conspiracy theory that they're inserting trans and gay content into straight content to turn people gay and trans or whatever.
For a new market.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That's how, like, because the main thing is like, they don't care how sex workers are getting exploited by that platform. How they're like, for the longest time was just people were uploading content and people weren't getting paid and just all of those things. Like they don't care. They know that won't drive their user base or anything. So they have to like frame it in a gay trans panic type way to get anyone to care. And that's how they frame it. Because otherwise they know their audience is watching porn. Like they know it, especially the Daily Wire audience. And so like, how do you get them to like, be like, oh, well, we also want to ban porn. And it's like, well, you tie it to like, does porn make you gay?
That's
also,
one way to do it.
Also, what would a script writer know about anything? The guy who writes, Alexis opens the door and there's the pizza delivery man. What would he know about how the sales or the tech or like the executive decisions that Pornhub makes? How would he know that? He's a script writer.
For porn. That just makes it so much more ridiculous.
Right. It's even like more divorced from any sort of knowledgeable area. Like it just makes no sense.
Yeah. Did you post the link to the?
Yeah, it's in the private.
Okay. Let me try to pull that in. So this is of. Oh, let me pause it. Okay, so do you want to give people the rundown on the movie if they haven't seen it? I'm sure by now they've seen the trailer of Lady Ballers.
Yeah, so apparently Daily Wire doesn't know that Juana Man is a movie that exists and decided that that they were going to be the first ever to create a movie where a bunch of men play women's sports. And this is obviously a, they're furthering the culture war where they believe that there are a bunch of men out there pretending to be trans or pretending to be women or however each conservative has their own different view of how they break this down. But there are men pretending to be women just to play in women's sports leagues so they can absolutely obliterate the women playing and they could be champions or whatever. That's what conservatives apparently actually believe. And they made a whole movie about this. But Ben Shapiro, when promoting this film with Jeremy Boring, the CEO of Daily Wire, who's also behind the film, I think he directed it or something, he accidentally gives the whole game away. He shows us all his hand. I mean, do they care? Do they even know does he realize he said this? I got no idea, but he said it. Let's watch this. I think it starts at like 3 minutes because it's the full clip. Yeah.
Okay. This is the timestamp that you sent me. Should I?
No, it's not that. Yeah, it's probably where that ends. Go to like about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Wherever the trailer ends.
Okay.
That should be it. A little bit more.
There we go.
There we go.
So that's the thing you did.
Yeah. We like to make friends.
Okay, so let's go back to the inception of this idea. So you approached me and you said we should make a fictional film about this topic. Now, to be fair, I think I'd actually suggested to the Crane Boys that they do this as a doc.
Yes.
I originally went to them and I said, you guys should like go try out for a bunch of ladies' leagues. And that became not possible because, as it turns out, most ladies' leagues don't allow in actual men.
Pause it.
And they won't
Pause
willing
it.
to go the full distance.
Pause it. I mean, right there it says the world, right? Actual men, they couldn't do the documentary idea because actual men can't join women's leagues. So that's Ben Shapiro saying that trans women are women. That's Ben Shapiro saying that actual men cannot join women's leagues. So the people who play in women's leagues are actually all women. I mean, that's it right there. I mean, he goes on, though, to give us a little something extra, too. But I don't know if anyone else wants to say something about this.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, that it entirely gives up the game. But, I honestly, I would have wanted to see the documentary where Daily Wire staffers or like whoever ended up like being this film actually underwent HRT for 2 years to go like group wrestling, everything to participate in sports. Like
commit to the craft.
I would actually pay money to watch that to the Daily Wire. Like I would actually want to see that documentary.
Alejandra, I got bad news for you. Play the rest of this clip, Mike. Unfortunately, I don't think your dreams will come true. Go ahead. Rewind it just a little bit so we don't miss the
Because, as it turns out, most ladies' leagues don't allow in actual men, and they weren't willing to go the full distance in terms of what it would require in order to, the actual hormone treatments and everything to play in some of the ladies' leagues. But in any case, it turned into this. So explain.
There you go. Pause it. I mean,
well, I think the thing that you have.
I mean, that's another big tell. Like they're all these conservatives claim that there's all these, and we should say that like in most of these situations, if like the vast majority of the situations where like they're upset that a trans person is playing in a league that matches their gender identity, it's mostly happening on like the high school and college level. There are not very many happening in like actual like athletes doing this as a job.
Well, there's 50 K through 12 nationwide that we know of. There's 100 at the college level. So it's such a small portion of the trans people are a small portion of the population, but athletes who are trans are even smaller. And what was it, yesterday or the day before? Riley Gaines was testifying, and she was talking about how she lost because of a biological man. She tied for 5th place with Leah Thomas, Like how are we allowing this person to be the face of trans women are destroying sports when 4 cis women beat you? Like, what is going on?
And you know what? That's what I kind of want to see from this movie is that like a man gets in a league, but they wear a wig or something like that, maybe shave or something. And at the end of the movie, they triumph and dominate just to come in 6th place. Because that's where we are. And so Alejandra, like they always skim over the part where you have to be taking hormones for 1, maybe 2 years, and you have to get a consultation from a doctor to ensure that you do not have a physical advantage over your competition. We have that for the high schoolers here in Ohio. We've had it for a while, but people are still under the impression that there are going to be man or male students who are simply going to play a woman's sport in order to get an advantage, and it's just not happening.
Right. Yeah. But that's the thing that he gave away there. Like they want us to believe this, and it's happened, and like these athletes are taking HRT to dominate in these leagues for free. Like there's no financial incentive for them. They don't win a big championship and get an Adidas deal or something like that. This is, like we were saying, mostly happening in college and high school level sports. And they want us to believe that's happening. But then Ben Shapiro just said that they are paid talent at Daily Wire wouldn't take HRT for the documentary, where they're getting paid to be in it. I mean, so obviously if they won't do it for pay, why do we? That throws their entire rhetoric down the tube, because it's not happening. No one is doing this. No one is. I'm not really a woman, but I'm going to take HRT just so I can get 1st place in women's college hoops or something. It's just the dumbest thing in the world.
And and while we're on the topic of pay, mind you, like this is actually an issue in women's sports, right? Like so, like the top, like Brittany Griner level, like GOAT all-time great basketball player makes at best $250,000. And like that's like veteran, been playing for years at the top of her sport. Well, like, why do you think she was in Russia playing? Because they actually paid millions to women athletes to go play basketball in Russia. And that's why so many women in WNBA were going to Russia. It's the reason why she was there in the first place. So they don't talk about that. Do you know what the like lowest level, like 3rd string backbencher of like the New Orleans Pelicans gets? Like minimum $950,000 a year. Jesus. Minimum. And we're talking about a person who does not see court time because they're like literally there in case like the team dies in a plane crash. Like that's,
anyway, you still gotta be really good too to even be that.
Oh yeah,
guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To be the death guy. I'm the death bencher.
Their talent, but that person who never sees court time makes 4 times what the best of WNBA makes. And so like there is literally no incentive. It's like I remember like when there was like, oh, if like LeBron James just like said he was a woman and he could just go and dominate the WNBA, and I'm like, why? He gets paid like $25 million a year in the NBA. He'd be making like 100th of that, like assuming all other things. So like they never touch upon the actual issues in women's sports. And like right now, what's happening with the pay for athletes, particularly with them getting endorsement deals, it's leaving women's sports behind tremendously. Additionally, the race around all of these lucrative sports contracts with the SEC, the Big Ten, all of those things, people don't realize all of the other sports at that school also have to join those conferences. And so what that means is like when you have teams on the West Coast joining like the Big Ten or something else like that, they actually have to like swim teams, like teams that play like, you know, basketball teams or even like water polo or something. They now have to travel 5 hours by plane instead of like playing regionally where it's like a 2-hour bus ride. And so like all of these other sports and colleges are getting decimated, particularly women's sports who don't get the funding they need to travel by plane every weekend. And so, and then on top of that, their family can't attend their games. So like, there's like all of these other issues that are happening with sports, and like, they're focused on the one thing that is basically inconsequential.
I
Well, 'cause they
didn't
don't
notice
care
a
about the other
single one
issues.
of
That's
them
why.
report. Yeah, none of them were talking about that. What is it? A report that showed that systemically on every level in U.S. women's sports there is rampant like sexual abuse. Then I didn't see a single right winger talk about that. Or the same thing, a report that came out of Canada that showed that there was rampant sexual abuse of both young boys in Canada and women in all leagues of hockey. And like those are very concerning issues that should demand your attention if you care deeply about women's sports and protecting women and making sure those are like, you know, safe places for people to play in. But radio silence, you know, it's just like crickets when it comes to that. No, because all they want to talk about is trans people. They just want to talk about trans women specifically, right? Like just all day.
This is how shameless they were at that hearing. They had Jim Jordan like come in into like, he's not even on that committee. He came in as like courtesy of the chair and was like talking
expert
about
on
this.
abuse.
I'm like, yeah, do you want to talk about college sports right now, Jim Jordan? Like, do you really want to talk about that? It's just like the shamelessness of it. And like, oh my God. And then like, yeah, it just
Also to share your link. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was gonna say, if y'all couldn't tell, I'm a Buckeye, and so I was gonna bring up Jim Jordan. Like, if they actually cared, they wouldn't bring this dude as a firebrand for the MAGA situation. But he's got a lot of questions that need answered around here, and a lot of us are demanding that. Which, by the way, my district, I'm in Columbus. My district is not his. That's north of here. Don't y'all look at me. Okay, don't look over here. He's a Buckeye like me, but I am not in this district. But yes, he got a lot of questions that needs to be answered, but he's not doing so because his people aren't forcing him to do so.
Yeah, they don't care. To go back to like why they're obsessed with trans people, I wanted to share the link that Alejandro dropped when we were talking about the last subject here. This is why they're obsessed.
Oh yeah.
This is them externalizing their internal struggle. They don't like that they are attracted to trans women, and so they try to do what they can to like demonize them because I guess that makes them feel better. I don't know. This is their coping mechanism.
No, I don't. I think that obviously that plays some sort of role, but I mean it's so prevalent in a certain a flavor of right wing ideology that it's way more than that. It's way more than whatever this is. I'm sure this plays a role, but some of it is just pure hatred for anything they don't understand or anything that's different. I think it's a wrong turn to just assume that they're doing it for the most part because there's an attraction there.
It's part of it, not all the cases though.
Right. It's certainly a thing for some of them, yes, but
it is a thing for Alex Jones. At least we know that.
Wait, do we know that? That's a thing that came out.
Yeah,
you seen?
I forgot about this.
Blair White, like just like sitting on his lap, like, and him having his hand around her waist, like.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't know what I walked into.
When he was shifting tabs on his phone, there was trans porn on one of the episodes. Like, do you remember that? Yeah.
I know what we're talking about now. I have more names. Joe Rogan as well.
Oh, I didn't know Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole clip of Joe Rogan and like three other guys talking about their like porn habits and how much he loves watching trans porn and stuff like that.
Oh wow, he just admits it. Well,
yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Wow. So there's other things to talk about. I don't know if you had anything else because I do have some other subjects, but they're much more depressing.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting word that there is an issue with the sound. Hold on. Let's listen to the. Someone's staticky. I don't know who it is though.
Is it my audio? Can you all hear me? My internet is terrible right now, so it might be me.
It might be everybody. I'm listening. Everybody. We're going to have to do that thing where each of us leave one at a time and see who fixes it by coming back. So I'll leave first and come back in, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I was like, I'll just do it. Why not? Hey, everybody, you're back to watching The Lance Show. And now I'm going to go back to the show. But for a couple seconds, you do get the Lance Show. Could do some silly voices for you all. You're just watching me right now. You're like, huh? Yeah, all right. What's happening? Don't worry, I'm rejoining it. I can't do a show by myself. It's a nightmare. All right, connect. Enter.
I mean, it should have just been my phone, my mic, but that was a StreamYard issue. It's got to be.
StreamYard does have a lot of weird glitches.
Because if it was just me it was happening to, then it would be my mic. But being that it was affecting everybody, it had to have been a StreamYard issue.
Yeah. Okay, so I have some other videos. They range from.
Wait, hold on. I was just told that Lance came back in and it broke. Hold on. Leave again, Lance.
Oh God.
Really?
What did I do now? Give me 1 second. I don't know why. This is on the video broadcast. Now it's bad again. It started right as you joined. Oh, weird. Huh. Is it gonna be that thing again where my audio settings are all messed up? It says it's going through NVIDIA broadcast. That's a good thing. Echo cancellation. That's a good thing too. Now it's bad again. But is it fine on my end here now? Are you sure he's not messing with you? Well, I can't hear it. It sounds fine with me.
Here we go. Let's see. He's back in. Let me listen.
All right. How does it sound?
It sounds fine for me. I never had a problem. But am I ruining the connection?
You Canadians ruin everything.
I know.
And you have free healthcare.
I know.
Okay. How does that sound, folks?
Seems
we
fine.
have to outsource our tech issues to the audience.
That's how you know it's a leftist stream.
Yeah, we don't have a producer.
It's fine on my end.
It sounds fine to me too.
I don't hear it, but some people say they still do, so I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, let's just.
So
it's better.
I haven't left yet. Do I need to leave and come back?
No.
I don't think you're the problem. I wouldn't worry about it. People are saying it's fine. Okay. It's probably just StreamYard.
It was probably George Santos. That's who I blame.
Yeah. Which, by the way, he's making so much money off of Cameo.
Yeah, I noticed he upped his price every day.
Transphobe cameos.
You know, if he
it's so stupid to give him money for, like, it's one thing to like laugh at his behavior and like do whatever with that because it's for free, but to actually actively give him money, it's extremely stupid. And friggin'
right.
John Fetterman paid him like $300-something for a video to mock what's his face, the Democrat who's Senator Bob Menendez. Yes,
he calls Menendez the senator from Egypt. Ironically,
which is so pointless. Honestly,
he's the senator from Israel.
John Fetterman's quickly becoming the absolute worst. Really horrible person.
It pops when I talk. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna tweak the settings then. I don't know why.
I don't know if you all wanted to watch this video. So I have the video of John Fetterman. He's on CNN, and
maybe this is better.
Abby Phillips, I think that's her name. She's gonna ask him whether or not he thinks that anything that Israel is doing amounts to war crimes. His response is, it's so insane. So I'll go ahead and play that.
Questions about what's happening on the ground in Gaza, about the really extraordinary civilian death toll that has happened as a result of this war. Do you believe that anything that Israel has done in these 6 weeks of fighting has amounted to a war crime?
Of course not. Of course not. And it's like, let's not forget what Hamas started. They broke the first ceasefire, and then they attacked Israel and murdered over 1,200 innocent women, children, babies, everything, and brutalized it in the most unspeakable kinds of ways. And so that really is the ultimate, criminal war kinds of. This is absolutely an unequivocal attack to destroy Israel. And we must remember that that's how started all of this.
But are you comfortable, Senator, with the number of Palestinians who have lost their lives? 7,000 children, 15 or 16,000 civilians dead. Do you believe Israel is doing enough to minimize civilian casualties?
One death is too many. It's a tragic. I don't value any Palestinian child life any more than or any less than my own child as well too. It's heartbreaking and it's awful. But I do fundamentally believe that Israel must destroy Hamas to achieve changing conditions that allow for peace to prosper.
Yeah, that's enraging.
You're just an unserious person if you say something like that. I'm sorry. I don't take you seriously. You value the lives of these children, but their deaths must happen to do something that, in whatever it may be. In this case, it's Israel must destroy Hamas. It's just ludicrous. It's a ludicrous position. You cannot say you value those children's lives or you care about those people if you give your thumbs up to what's happening. It's that simple. You're just lying. You're a liar. And you're trying to say something that conflicts with that just to make yourself feel better so you don't sound like an insane person endorsing this type of stuff. But you are. You are a terrible human being if you endorse what's going on there.
I was trying to consider while he was talking, what's the worst that's going to happen to you if you admit that Israel is committing war crimes? What is it for him? Like, what's going to be the thing that happens to him? What's the consequences going to be? I don't know what they would be, but like, there's no reason to say otherwise. That like, those are definitely war crimes. We know that because America is a part of it, and we do war crimes real good here. So the denying it, I don't know where that goes for him or anyone in his position, really.
I don't think it's him necessarily being afraid of consequences or anything. I think for him, it's the reason why he was popular in the first place, and one of the reasons why he won an election and had such broad support is that when he believes in something, which 99% of the time had been aligned with the left, he just doesn't back down. Like, he just hammers it, and he's he just goes at it 100%. And I think here, like, it's just very clear. Like, this is truly what he believes, and he is going for it. And it's alienating a large part of his base. Like, it's like,
he's out there saying there's issues at the border now. He's going full throttle. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today. I'll drop that link. He's going full throttle.
Jesus.
Right winger here. He's going for it. He's making the jump.
Well, if he wants to run for president, he doesn't have the left anymore, so he's going to have to find some new base to pander to. So maybe moderate Democrats. I don't know. He's just so insufferable.
He even went out and here's the exact quote. It's in an interview. This is in Politico. As stalled immigration negotiations imperil U.S. aid to Ukraine and Israel, Senator John Fetterman is blaming not only Republicans, but also members of his own party for what he described as a reflexive political resistance to a border security deal. I hope this is quoting John Fetterman now.
Wow.
I hope Democrats can understand that it isn't xenophobic to be concerned about the border. It's a reasonable conversation, and Democrats should engage.
So he's like indistinguishable from conservatives right now.
Yeah,
like, you're getting the same talking points.
One of the important things to remember is, like, liberals are always one moral panic away from just going full fascist. Like, that is like, whether it's crime, whether it's like immigration, whether it's like some other like just insane moral panic, like, they just immediately like revert to like, we need to do everything like right now to immediately like destroy whatever this is because it's a threat to white suburbia. And
it gets even. I'm looking at this article. It gets even worse. He goes on to say, honestly, it's astonishing, and this isn't a Fox News kind of statistic. This is the government's. You essentially have Pittsburgh showing up there at the border. This is John Fetterman. He's talking about the population of Pittsburgh, I'm assuming.
So he's gone full cinema. Well, no, you can't even say that because cinema didn't really say she was a progressive. I mean, she did, but she wasn't like supporting progressive policies like he was.
She used to be like one of those kind of like, she was almost like touting that she had one of the most green platforms. She was incredibly progressive. Like, she's a really good textbook like track of someone going from, hey, by the way, I'm now inside the system and it's deeply lucrative. I can make a lot of money if I do certain things. So I'm going to change all my beliefs and vote a completely different way than you'd expect.
Jesus.
Yeah,
it's
he
unserious.
Sucks. He absolutely sucks.
Yeah,
and then he posted that disgusting meme on Twitter earlier today. Have you seen this? The Drake meme. Pull it up. It is. Listen.
The what?
I haven't seen it.
You gotta see it. He posted
I'll try
a
to
Drake.
find it.
He posted it. Well, it's on his on his Twitter page. Hold on,
I responded to it too. I was rage tweeting it. Like I saw it and it just pissed me off.
He's a bad person. I'm sorry. No, this is someone who will never get my support again. I'm, he's done. He's gone from. This is just a disgusting meme at a thing to post in multiple levels. Multiple levels for a sitting U.S. senator post a fucking meme. To post a meme. The Drake meme. It takes so many things and demeans them. It demeans women. It demeans victims of sexual assault to turn rape into a meme. It demeans the people over in the Middle East who are involved in this to turn it into a meme in this way. It is disgusting on so many levels. If you are a serious person trying to discuss extremely serious and sensitive issues, you do not make a fucking internet meme out of it. And do that especially if you're a U.S. senator. Get out of here. This guy's got to go. This guy is done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, it's so incredibly disgusting. Like, you can be critical of BDS. You can be like trying to raise the issue of Israeli women being raped by Hamas and like wanting to condemn that. And absolutely it should be. But like putting it into a meme, are you fucking serious? Like, it just so belittles like all of it. And it just, oh my God, it's so disgusting.
It belittles the cause that he thinks he's standing for with that meme.
True. Yep.
So I hadn't seen that, and I personally wish I wouldn't have seen it because that's gross.
It's infuriating.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I don't know if you all saw, but so a prominent scholar from Gaza who is also on Twitter, like probably all of us follow him. He was killed today by an Israeli airstrike on his sister's
Did you see his last tweet?
His last tweet, he was accusing Biden and genocide.
Yeah, I can read it out. So this is Rafat Gaza was the account, or the official account. And yeah, the Democratic Party and Biden are responsible for the Gaza genocide perpetrated by Israel. That's the last tweet he'll ever make. It was a doctor who had done a lot of interviews. You probably saw this interview on Democracy Now!, where they were actually like recording directly inside, I think, Al Shifa Hospital at the time. And he's just talking about how dire the situation is and how he's lost hope in humanity and all this kind of stuff. It was hard to see.
Yeah, there's one video, the first video that I saw of him really stood out because he's saying like, look, I'm an academic and I don't have like a weapon, but you know, if the IDF comes into my home, I'm gonna throw my pen at them or something like that. I actually have that video. I don't know if you want to watch it. It's just this one really, like, it broke me seeing this news because he's such a like loving person, such a smart person. Just like, what a loss. But I'll go ahead and play the video.
We know that it's very bleak. It's very dark. There's no way out. If there's no water, there is no way out of Gaza. What should we do? Like drown? Like commit mass suicide? Is this what Israel wants? And we're not going to do that. And I was telling some friend the other day that I'm an academic. Probably the toughest thing I have at home is an expo marker. But if the Israelis invade, if they barge at us, charge at us, open door to door to massacre us, I'm going to use that marker, throw it at the Israeli soldiers, even if that is the last thing that I would be able to do. Okay. And this is the feeling of everybody. We are helpless. We have nothing to lose.
Jesus, and you just hear the bomb go off right in the background of that.
Yeah, it's devastating. Yeah, this is. And none of this will be acknowledged by these people like, you know, John Fetterman, who defend Israel unequivocally, no matter what. There's never an acknowledgement of anything that Israel does when they're able to tweet and say they're killing us. I just lost X amount of family members. It's just, this one really fucked me up today.
Yeah. Oh, and like the thing that gets me is like, there's always this like strain of people being like, where's their Nelson Mandela? Like, where's their like MLK or Gandhi, like the peaceful person? And like, this was just a peaceful academic who could have like shown like a peaceful way to resist and like show a better way for Palestinians in Gaza. And like, now he's dead. And Hamas is still in the tunnels. So like, what really are they doing here? Like like some of the statistics that really just get at me is like when they compare the percentage of like how bombed out Gaza is right now, and they compare it to like what we consider like historically. I think most people consider Dresden as like the like hallmark of like what constitutes indiscriminate carpet bombing of a civilian area, and like the level of bombing in Gaza has now surpassed like the level of Dresden. And we're like at like Tokyo level, like firebombing. And it's just like, that puts it in perspective. And there's like satellite images showing the farms, like where like they, like all of it razed completely. And now they're talking about flooding the tunnels. And it's like, they're trying to get at Hamas, whatever, but like the problem is they're going to do it with seawater, which is then going to probably seep into the aquifer. Like it's basically it's salting the earth. Like they're going to make that place uninhabitable. And the other, like, I know people have been mocking oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name right now? Oh my gosh, she's the climate change activist.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. Yeah, thank you. I like talking about like
whatever.
this
However you say her last name.
As an environmental issue.
Mike was right.
We don't talk about is like in 9/11, like all the people exposed to all the dust there, like developed cancer and all this stuff years later. And that was like what, like 2 buildings or several buildings in that immediate area that collapsed, right? You have an entire like piece of land and region now that like all these buildings have collapsed. There's all of these particulates, not to mention the lead from all of the shelling, which will just leach to the groundwater. Like this is just, it's an environmental catastrophe, and that part never gets talked about, right? Like there is no plan for an after, because even if Israel completely stopped today, pulled out of Gaza, like it would take decades to rebuild Gaza, even with international assistance. And then what is there would not be habitable. There'd be so much lead in the soil. There would be so much just like they couldn't pull water from the aquifer anymore. Like they could barely do that before. And there's probably, who knows how much, like who knows if they're still using asbestos in their building materials. Like even if you wanted to build for peace, like you're going to have untold health catastrophes for generations.
Yeah. And what is it now? The number is like 1.8 million Gazans are displaced. 1.8 million out of a population of 2.3 million. And that number is probably growing. And not to mention, like, people talk about the death toll, but that's not even accounting for the people who are dying, who are like trapped under rubble, and the ones who will starve to death. It is such a massive humanitarian catastrophe of such wide proportions that, like, I don't think we're going to fully understand the scale of this until years to come. And it's not even over yet. And our government is complicit. And this is one thing that makes me so fucking mad, is that Joe Biden is willing to, and I saw somebody tweet this and they said it more eloquently. They're like, Joe Biden is willing to lose to Trump because he won't tell Netanyahu no. And that's where we're at. It's like we have fascism, we're staring down the barrel, and it's because his popularity is being driven down because of his handling of this, and he refuses to change. Like, behind the scenes, they've made like some little nudges here and there, but for the most part, they're completely complicit. Like, the bombs that we're giving them are being dropped on Palestinians. It's just, what a horrible situation. Like, the more that I think about this, the more like doomer I get, because it's just, there's no winning. And even the resistance, like the protests that we're seeing, it doesn't matter if these protesters around the world, if they're just like perfectly peaceful, there's no river to the sea signs, all of them are demonized as pro-Hamas. In fact, I have another clip of Bill Maher. He talks about the pro-Hamas protests across the country. Doesn't even differentiate. Like, first and foremost, like, are there any pro-Hamas, like actual pro-Hamas protests going on? Maybe like at the start on 10/7, you could pinpoint certain examples, right? There was like the DSA where they were celebrating in I think it was like New York or something. And then there
It
was the
wasn't
BLM
DSA.
Chicago.
It wasn't the DSA. It wasn't the DSA. It was
what was it?
It was a protest that was put together by some other organization that the DSA had promoted, and there was a speaker. There was a speaker or two at the event who spoke in favor of what happened. As resistance, and I disagree with that because of the attack on civilians.
But that's not representative of all of these protests. But they try to extrapolate from that and say, oh, well, BLM Chicago, they had this We Stand with Palestine in a paraglider. So because like some social media dude of this one chapter did that, then all the protests are tainted. Like there's no winning.
That's the point. That's the point of
winning.
it. The point of it is to taint everything and change the conversation. I mean, right now we're talking about not us right now on the show, but in the mainstream, the big story right now isn't that hundreds of more people just were killed in Gaza. The story right now in the U.S. media is, the presidents of Harvard and other Ivy League schools couldn't condemn anti-Semitism, and they looked really bad in that video with what's her name, Republican Rep Stefanik.
Stefanik, right?
Because Stefanik was so great. She any liberal or Democrat aligning with her and seeing and looking at those videos and saying, oh, she looks good in that, you're complicit. She's the same person who does not care about any of this. She never she backed Trump and supported Trump this whole time after January 6th, for example. But the point of the Ivy League school thing wasn't that it was so bad because they wouldn't condemn anti-Semitism. Of course, condemn anti-Semitism. It was so bad because they couldn't speak up. They did not and could not, I guess, speak up to Stefanik and say that what's happening in the examples that Stefanik used was the word intifada is not anti-Semitic. Intifada means uprising. It's not a call for genocide of Jews.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's been frustrating to me, as somebody who I work at Harvard, and one of the things that's just completely lost on a conversation is how little these people actually give a damn about students on this campus. Because it's very obvious, yes, Jewish students feel unsafe on campus, and they should not feel that way. They should be able to feel safe on campus. I've been helping a lot of Palestinian, Muslim, and Arab students who have had their faces posted on the doxing trucks, who have been doxed. There was a student here who got doxed and was receiving calls to her personal cell phone, saying that she should be beheaded and raped. And this is what has been going on to Palestinian students and Arab and Muslim students on this campus. They have been doxxed, they have been stalked, they have been sent death threats. They've been threatened, and we're coming on the heels of last week, 3 Palestinian students in Vermont being shot. One now who is permanently paralyzed, and 2 months ago, the 6-year-old being stabbed in Chicago, and there's very real violence and threats and harassment occurring on campus, and and none of it, and they never get brought up. It's only a concern for anti-Semitism. Yes, we should be concerned about anti-Semitism, but we should also be concerned about the Islamophobia that is being perpetrated right now, and just the open calls for violence. It's just, it's so incredibly infuriating.
The point isn't student safety, because that, again, like what we're saying, that's not the point. The only people who should care about the whole college campus stuff that go on even before Israel and Palestine in this most recent example, anyone who cares about that should be people directly involved, students who attend, parents, teachers, faculty, etc. The idea that there are complete news cycles around what happens on a college campus. The majority of fucking people in this country do not care about what happens on a college campus. Why should I care about what happens in a college campus if I'm not involved, if I don't have a student, if I'm not working there? If you're in that community, I understand why you care about it. But the majority of people are not. And the idea that we have complete news cycles is purposeful. And it's not because those people care about what happens on these college campuses. No, it's because they get to spread whatever sort of ideology, whatever sort of propaganda they want to spread. They get to funnel it through this college campus story, I guess, in a way of I don't know, getting extra sympathy because it's happening to students or something. But they do it to focus on their own personal agenda because they don't care about the students.
Well, they're
They don't care
demonizing
about what's
students
happening on college
90% of the time. They're snowflakes. You know, they're too liberal or left. They're commies. Like they don't like, they hate the students. So yeah, it's all coordinated. There's certain narratives that are all pushed.
Well, they hate the students until those few students align with their rhetoric, and then those students are being
they can
silenced.
exploit them.
They're being silenced, and it's dangerous for them to be on campus.
Yeah,
right.
Bill Ackman being the kind of example of this, like he was like, the example of them silencing people on campus is like two people who were like anti-trans, and I was like, because of course, like, you know, and I think like a lot of it, you know, is partially there's kind of two reasons behind this. I think is one of it is it's about power, and it's about eliminating like sources of institutional power that provide a counterweight or dissent to kind of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And so essentially what they're trying to do is like, the reason why they're picking Harvard is because it is like the leading institution in the country, and they want to essentially bully Harvard into cracking down on any student, staff, or faculty that have any kind of pro-Palestinian sentiments, and to silence anyone who has those sentiments for fear of essentially being doxxed. I can't even tell you the kinds of fears that it is instilled on the student body here. And you know, that's a huge component of it, because like why are we spending all this when there have been multiple times now in the recent past few months of armed neo-Nazis marching in front of synagogues with with Nazi swastika flags, right? Like, you want to talk about threads, like why is it like such a fixation on a handful of schools when we have these open neo-Nazis doing this stuff, and it's been happening more and more? And the other aspect of this is just such a clearly racist attempt to get Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, booted out as president of the institution. She's the first Black president of Harvard, the first Black woman president of Harvard. She only started the job in September. She wasn't even on the job for a month before all of this happened, right? And so, you know, this is so clearly part of it. And like, that is the frustrating thing to me. And like, already Bill Ackman's going out there and saying that President Claudine Gay is a diversity hire. Like, it is just so incredibly demeaning and racist. And like, and this is a guy, Bill Ackman, who defended Elon Musk after he was endorsing great replacement theory and just these vile anti-Semitic tweets. Like, it is just so clear what this is.
Yeah, Alejandra, I think, you know, the word you used, the meaning, I think that goes across the board when it comes to just muddying up the messages of protests. So if you would like Palestine to be free, therefore you are pro-Hamas. And if you are calling out the Israeli government, therefore you are anti-Israelis. And that's just gross generalizations that shouldn't be happening for something like this. We can all agree that like what Hamas has done has been awful. It was awful. Palestine should also be free. Like, Israel
you can hold two thoughts
is,
at once.
Yeah, yeah. Multiple things can be true at the exact same time. And so if you muddy up what the protest message is, then the method doesn't really matter. It can be as peaceful as all get out. That doesn't matter. And so, yeah, we're seeing this on college campuses all the time where, Mike, you alluded to this. Like, they're turning out all these liberal kids who are being indoctrinated. And if a conservative mind comes out of it, they're like this maverick who overcame the obstacles in order to be independent free thinkers. And like, it doesn't have to be this. Like, it really does not. But you know, when you let's be actually, I need to say this. Everybody has bias and agenda and a narrative. We all do. Some are better than others, but we all have that. And so if we're going to come out and say that like college students or even their professors or the president of the university is trying to like lead some revolt against conservatism, it sounds like they got some victim mentality going on that they need to deal with instead of putting it on these individual communities. So it's unfortunate. So Alejandro, I can only imagine what you're going through from time to time, because like this sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, you know, I think because I it's weird because I wear two hats at Harvard. So I'm a clinical instructor, but I'm also doing my master's in public administration at the Kennedy School. So I'm also a student. So, and it's a weird dual role because like, you know, I'm kind of in these kind of dual settings. And I think like one of the things that just really is just so frustrating for me is like someone on this campus is both a student and instructor, is like how much like the joy of campus was just completely sucked away. Right? Like, not I don't think imagine. Between students themselves, because especially at Harvard Kennedy School, we have several Israeli students, we have Palestinian students, and like people were talking, and like I went to a queer women's meetup, for like a pan Harvard queer women's meetup, and like there was someone wearing a keffiyeh and an Israeli person, and like just best of friends. Like it just is frustrating because like that to me is more of the reality of the campus, and like all of these outside grifters that aren't on campus, they or haven't been in decades, are just coming in here and just like stoking division, creating unnecessary just tension to just politicize this and like create more like just unneeded stress on people like who are already going through so much. Like there are so many students on campus that lost family members on October 7th in Israel, and then there are so many people on campus who are continuing to lose family members in Gaza and in Palestine, and like there are so many students carrying so much weight, and then to throw gasoline on the fire here from just the worst people, it's so infuriating.
Yeah. And it's also cynical too, because we all know they don't actually care about the safety of anyone. Like they're trying to talk this up in service of their agenda, because like there's a lot of people who don't feel safe on college campuses. Like when I went to school at Portland State University, it's downtown Portland, probably at least twice a week, there were pastors yelling at queer people, yelling, you know, anti-LGBTQ plus slurs, anti-trans slurs. And so like they never, like these things never get brought up, but they're doing this because they're trying to change the narrative. Like this, and look, this is not just with regard to Israel-Palestine. Like when it comes to the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, the main thing that they talked about was how violent they were. They were riots. When if you look at all of the protests that occurred, they were disproportionately peaceful.
93%, according to the FBI.
93%, yeah. So every single time there's something that starts to get momentum, they have to co-opt it and demonize it. And these Palestinian protests, like they're not just taking place in the U.S. It's all over Europe. It's around the world. So they can't just let that stand. Even Netanyahu apparently was afraid of all of this, these protests that were driving down public support for Israel. So this is what they have to do. They have to attack, and they have to change the narrative, because these protests, you know, they're counter to what they want.
But did you hear, Mike, that apparently we've been radicalized by watching TikTok, that for every 30 minutes of TikTok, you become 17% more pro-Hamas? And that's science, and we can't deny that now. I mean, now that we know.
I wish you didn't say that. I don't want to deny science on this platform, but that is... I was all over TikTok today, so I'm pretty deep into it now.
Yeah, I feel like all of the cooking videos that I watch, I also get a lot of French Bulldog videos recommended on my feed. I haven't felt anti-Semitic after watching that, but I do watch a lot of them, so maybe I'm not even like realizing it. But yeah, like isn't it? I was listening to the GOP debate at the gym yesterday, and I'm just like sitting there like, man, it must be so liberating to just like make something up so you can sound smart. Like you don't have to do any fact check. Like it doesn't have to be grounded in reality. You just make shit up. Don't have to spend time researching or trying to learn about anything. You just say what the fuck you want to say. And that moment like was the quintessential example of conservatives just making shit up, pulling stuff out of their ass to sound smart. But I feel like with that one, she went too far. right? Where it's like
there is a. I'm pretty sure I know the study that she was
is it a real thing?
Oh yeah, there was a real study, specifically in terms of. I brought it up on the Majority Report earlier today. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. It's so flawed.
Musk
horrible.
touted as well. That was like saying that like, oh, that Twitter's the least anti-Semitic platform or something because they like.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yep, I found it. Hold on.
Yeah, the numbers say a different story when it comes to Musk and Twitter.
Yeah, you want to pull this up in the.
Yeah.
Pull this up on the screen.
Also, I just saw Oregonian Bums comment. I'm sorry, I forgot about your emotes. I do like them. I haven't been able to reply yet. I'm so sorry, but that's a side point. Okay. Let me pull this up here.
Sorry for leaving for so long. By the way, I had to let my dog back in because my partner's out right now. So Chico's joined us in one way or another. Don't know where he's hiding.
Hi, Chico.
Yeah, he's hiding somewhere.
All right, could you zoom in?
Yes. Give me 1 sec.
More.
How's that?
That's good.
Okay.
So this startup or tech guy, he's a tech investor, whatever. What else is new? Surprise, surprise. Tech person with bad opinions on something. Anthony Goldblum posts, a new survey suggests TikTok is a meaningful driver of a surge in anti-Semitism, #TikToxic. Spending at least 30 minutes a day on TikTok increases the chances a respondent holds anti-Semitic or anti-Israel views by 17% compared with 6% for Instagram and 2% for X. Now, if you look at that graph and what he said just there in that little paragraph where he's setting the stage, his own personal summary there, the graph that he put together here says the relationship between platform usage and anti-Semitic / anti-Israel views. I mean, that says it all right there. The conflation of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel views. It's one thing according to this presentation of the survey. If you look, TikTok way higher than Instagram and X when it comes to anti-Semitic / anti-Israel views. And again, I'm not making it clear enough with my sarcasm. I want to make it completely clear here.
Oh,
anti-Semitism is not equivalent to anti-Israel or anti-Zionist sentiment.
Well, to them, it's one and the same.
Those are two completely distinct things. Well, here's the thing, though. The actual data that he's pulling it from was posted on GitHub, like the raw data. So we have the questions that were specifically asked. And the survey actually did make that distinction. And you could pull this up. A guy by the name of Colin Fraser, he did a very... Oh, and by the way, Anthony Goldblum's presentation there, if you go down his tweet thread, his summary gets to the conclusion that TikTok needs to ban the Free Palestine hashtag because it's the equivalent to the White Lives Matter hashtag or other white supremacist hashtags in the sense of it spreading anti-Semitism. Free Palestine should be banned on TikTok, according to this guy.
Oh, actually, let me pull that back up. There's he shows that. Wow.
He gives away the game, and what the point of this is. Put the data in such a way so you can argue. Notice he couldn't find anything there's no like big anti-Semitic hashtag going on. There's no what's that racist 4chan meme? The anti-Semitic 4chan meme, the merchant or whatever, the stupid thing 4chan loves. It's not hashtag the anti-Semitic 4chan meme. No, it's Free Palestine, Free Gaza, I stand with Palestine. He wants, now go back to see what he says here. This is because that's not the tweet I want you to highlight. Go down. You're going too fast. Go up.
Okay, sorry.
That one right there.
Oh, okay.
Third from the bottom. In the past, TikTok has taken action on White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Letter to America. There are a series of hashtags, starting with Free Palestine, that, like White Lives Matter, sound innocuous but are endangering young Jews. Those hashtags should go. First of all, the fact that this guy thinks White Lives Matter sounds innocuous says everything you need to know about him. I'll tell you right now, it is not innocuous. It is not analogous to Free Palestine whatsoever. And the idea that his first go-to is to say, we need to ban the Free Palestine hashtag on TikTok should be raising red flags to you on what this guy, what his deal is here. What is his agenda here? And now another guy, I dropped the Twitter link for this one. A guy by the name of Colin Fraser, he looked at the raw data. Now, he didn't do, there's a lot more to be done with this raw data. I still got to fully look into it. And Colin Fraser admits he just looked at a few questions here and plotted them on a graph of his own. But when you actually break it down by the questions asked in this survey and don't smush all the anti-Semitic and anti-Israel sentiment together into one thing and just label it all anti-Semitic, you find that TikTok is actually at the bottom of the ones that he plotted here, which he plotted in his graph. He plotted Twitter, and he plotted TikTok, and he plotted television, which is we don't know the data. The raw data just says television. It doesn't describe what. I'm assuming cable news. Who knows if it's Fox News, MSNBC, or whatever. But the point
it's a
of
pretty
the matter,
all-encompassing term. You're just
right, but
describing an entire genre.
Right, but even if you disregard the television data and just look at the comparison of Twitter and TikTok, can you zoom into this these graphs here, because it's too far away, Mike?
Let me try.
Enhance.
How's that? I don't know if I can get bigger than that because it'll.
Okay, so the first question up there, and now I should say the Y is percentage that agree with the statement, and the X-axis is the amount of time, the self-reported time spent. So if you look at all these graphs, what you're looking at is, as time goes on, how many people agree with, how many more people agree with a statement, or how many less people agree with a statement. Like, does being on one of these platforms more, does spending more time on one of these platforms, does it make you start to agree more with these statements or agree less with these statements? And some of these ones are, compared to other groups, Jewish people have too much power in the media. I would say that's obviously an anti-Semitic sort of trope right there. The green line, by the way, is TikTok. So if you'll see, the more time you spend on TikTok, it actually goes down. People are more likely to agree with that statement less as they spend more time on TikTok. And if you look, the more time spent on television or on Twitter, the line actually goes up. It even goes up more for television than it does for Twitter. If you look at this next statement, in the survey, Jewish people talk about the Holocaust just to further their political agenda. Clearly anti-Semitic. If you look, TikTok, once again, the more time you spend on there, the less likely you are to agree with that sentiment. Television just goes straight up. The line goes straight up. And for Twitter, the line shoots up, and then it goes down just a little bit as you spend more time on Twitter. But it's still more people agree with that sentiment than people who watch television. And then I'll give you another example. Jewish people chase money more than other people do. Clearly anti-Semitic. TikTok, once again, it's interesting enough, TikTok is actually higher than the others, but starts higher than the others, but as you spend more time on TikTok, you agree with that sentiment less, and as you spend more time watching television or more time on Twitter, you agree with that sentiment more. So I don't know where, like, this guy has to be basically using just the criticism of Israel data to somehow come out of this. With the previous guy I'm talking about, with his graph that shows that TikTok is more anti-Semitic, or because there's no way you could just look at all these questions as it goes down the row here, and it just, TikTok's at the bottom of all these.
Wow. Can I just say really quick, I stand corrected. I apologize to Nikki Haley. I thought she straight up pulled those numbers out of her ass, but she's
pulled it out of
something.
Yeah, but she pulled it out of
someone else's
propaganda.
Yeah.
Also,
she didn't just make it up. I'm pleasantly surprised, honestly. But yeah, this data is. I think it does speak for itself.
Also, and I think it's just because she brought it up in this way. We know that her daughter spends time on TikTok, and that's her daughter's right. I have no interest in bringing up her daughter, and I thought Vivek was wrong for doing that the last time. But if you're going to bring up TikTok and attack TikTok and say spending more time on TikTok makes you anti-Semitic, how much time do you let your kids spend on TikTok? And Nikki Haley, are they walking out of there being anti-Semitic? Because if your daughter's not anti-Semitic, then clearly there's an aberration here in this this survey, this study.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of this, like, remember what I said earlier, is like we're liberals are one moral panic away from going full.
I'm gonna have to use that.
And like the moral panic right now around TikTok. I mean, this is just kind of the latest thing to attack it, but like, you know, there's like first, it's always like they bring up whatever the topic du jour is, but like earlier this year was like the Communist Party of China is using this to mold young minds into like doing whatever they want. And
don't forget the Osama bin Laden scandal, where apparently everyone was praising Osama bin Laden's letter. And then I looked up the article on CNN. It said dozens. It's like, it's still up. You can see the first letter says dozens. I was like, this is not hundreds, not 1,000. This trend was literally like 12 or one more people, right? Like, come on.
But even with that though, all the examples in the media were like screenshotting the same like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I know, 3 or 4. Yeah, and then there were hundreds responding videos making fun of them. Way more videos making fun of them than there were like, you know, people being like Osama bin Laden.
Which probably was counted in those dozens. A few of those were probably, at least a few of those were counted in those dozens of videos.
I call it the Tide Pods effect, because what it is like it's like the media gets obsessed with something that like they pull like 1 or 2 examples. It's like when you see like sometimes they're like people are tweeting about this and it's like a tweet with like 10 likes and you're like, okay. And like, so they pull out 1 or 2 examples and they obsess over it. Like the Tide Pods thing. They're like, kids are eating Tide Pods. And like, there was no discernible difference in like poison center control data. And then like, after all those news stories happened, people actually did start like,
it spiked,
like eating Tide Pods because they were like, because the awareness of it actually like increased. And this is exactly what happened with Yashar Ali doing this, right?
Oh,
like
right.
He put this out there from like like 3 or 4 videos and then suddenly made it seem like it was a TikTok trend, which it hadn't. And like, here's the other thing that's frustrating to me, right? Because pre-Elon, right? Like pre-Elon Twitter, if this had happened on Twitter, you could have gone through the API tools. You could have broken out second by second, like when people were tweeting about something and broken down the trends in an API. And you could have had a disinformation researcher in a day come up with a report and say like, this is where this originated. This is like, there are no equivalent tools for TikTok, mainly because of the difficulty in like analyzing video content, but also there isn't that transparency. And so we can't know whether or not this was like really a trend, although some people have looked into it and there really wasn't any videos. And then basically
there were dozens, Alejandro. Yeah, come on.
And then what ended up happening is that Yashar Ali like highlighted this. So then what did everyone do? They went to TikTok, searched for these videos, and then the algorithm being like, well, everyone's searching for these videos, suddenly starts promoting this. And it's like, oh my God, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it is just hackery on such a level. And like, yeah. And so it's like, it's that part, right? And so then now we get to this study and it's like, they're looking for any reason to ban TikTok. And this is just like the latest reason. And it's like, it's not TikTok that is like indoctrinating young kids into being like anti-Israel or whatnot. Like, this is just like everything else is reflective of like what they believe. Right. And it's just,
kids have eyes too, right? Like every single person is waking up and it doesn't matter what social media you use. Could be Snapchat, could be like Instagram. Like you are just seeing a whole bunch of horrifying atrocities you never thought you'd see in your lifetime. And then the next day it tops those. And you're like, oh, I saw something worse than I ever thought I could ever fathom seeing. So like if everyone's experiencing that, obviously I think that's probably driving a lot more sentiment to something's wrong than some insidious Chinese AI, you know, at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. They just refuse to possibly believe, or they're trying to hide the fact that they know that this is why, and they don't want it to be spread and shared online. They just refuse to believe that people have these sort of anti-Zionist or anti-Israel views because of I don't know, the actions of Israel.
Yeah,
like the idea that you wouldn't, the idea that young people who they already mock them as being woke, right? So they already know that they have this ideology, right? They already know that this is a generation or a group of people or a generation of people who already care about injustice. They care about people being displaced. They care displaced. Excuse me. They care about marginalized groups. They care about all these sorts of injustices in the world. They already mock them for it, so they already know this is how they feel. And then a situation happens where that ideology they know they have, that generation has, will align with the group of people who are being bombed. And instead of just admitting that this is what's going on, they got to believe something else. So they've been pumping up this whole time the rhetoric that young people are woke, because that's what served them before. But now that young people are woke, and that means that they have a logical reason to be pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist. Now it's, we backed ourselves into a corner here, but we can't admit it. So no, the app is doing it to them. China, the China-owned app is doing it to them. They could check off a number of boxes there. They hit all their talking points. But this is the logic they have. This is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, that's entirely it. And I think one of the most frustrating things for me is like Gen Z is, by all like the traditional markers of like how you look at generations, like going to like highest rates of education, right? Graduating high school, going to college, getting a college education, lowest rates of teen pregnancy, like all the traditional markers that we look at, like for like, are the kids okay? Other than like, if you look at mental health, they are not okay. But like those other things.
But no one is. That's the time we live in.
Lowest rates of alcohol use, drug use, all of those things. It like out of all of the generations. So like otherwise, like it seems like they're coming out okay. And so now this is the thing like they have to panic about, because they can't panic about, are the kids drinking too much? Are they having too much underage sex? Are they having like too many teenage pregnancies? Like
they're worried about them not having enough sex. They're like, have you seen this study? This is a sexless generation. What is going on? I was like, well, conservatives, you got to pick a lane. Come on. What is it? Do you want abstinence, or did you want them to all be like fucking, what do you want?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like since the times of Plato, it's like the elders have to like say kids these days, and it's oh god, it's so frustrating. I have to run, but it's been wonderful joining you.
Tell us.
We were just about to talk about GTA 6. We never talked about GTA 6. I can't believe it. We missed it this whole time.
It's gone woke.
Yeah, I've heard.
The woke mind virus has infected Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, you can find me on Esquire on all social media thread, ESQUEER _. You can find me on Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, all under the same handle. Yeah, and it was unfortunate we didn't get to talk about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I have a video coming out about that tomorrow, specifically about the transvestigations of the main character, because it's
Thanks,
not a
Keemstar.
Thing,
good job, Keemstar.
Yeah, even video game characters aren't safe from the transvestigators, but
the only thing I really hope, like as someone from Florida, because it looks like they might actually include like Tampa and Miami and like Naples and Fort Lauderdale, like it's like it's gonna be a huge map. I don't know, this is like the alleged leaked map. But right before I go, the one thing I hope they have is like some kind of like satirical version of Ron DeSantis. Like, I really, really hope, because they put in like all these other news stories, right? That like
real things, like the woman with the hammers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
they have to have like a version of Ron DeSantis in this, and I cannot wait for that.
Yeah. Oh, they will. And Elon Musk. I think they already had an Elon Musk.
Yeah, there is an Elon Musk that's been leaked.
Yeah.
Avon something.
Avon, yeah. Avon.
Yeah, I think that was in the previous one, wasn't it?
It was 5, right?
Yeah. It was 5 online, so it wasn't
right,
like in the single player, and it like was in 2017. So it was like I had already checked out. Like I didn't do the online stuff because like.
Yeah, I never got into it too.
Avon Hertz.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so clearly him. It's like he's even obsessed with like an AI neural network that calls him daddy, and like you just see what he's doing with Brock, and I'm like, they predicted this 6 years ago. Like,
Wow.
okay, I have to go. I'll see you.
You take care. It's nice talking.
Bye, Alejandro.
to you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Great to have you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Yeah. Okay. So you all, of course, probably saw the Elon Musk Grand Theft Auto tweet, right? I mean,
the pathetic one with Ian Miles Chong about how he doesn't want to do crime. I can't shoot police officers. It's scary in video games. You do so much real world crime. There's so much shit on that guy's rap sheet. I was like, you've tried to bribe your subordinates for sexual favors with horses. You've had
with the horse. You can't just breeze past on a horse.
With a horse. Yeah, horses, fucking economic style. He's got so many malpractice lawsuits for how dangerous his working conditions are, for how racist his plants are. You know, he's been sued by multiple people of color for being incredibly racist in his plants. He's killed people like unintentionally, like, you know, by virtue of making the AI driven cars that have I think they've killed 40 people so far. I haven't mentioned the thousands of animals he's tortured, you know, like not just monkeys, by the way. He's tortured like all kinds of other animals and pets to try and make Neuralink work and all this kind of stuff. Like the guy is not a great dude.
A monster.
But he won't play GTA because he doesn't want to do crime in a video game.
But then reviews are going to come in for GTA 6 and he's just going to be like shooting the police. This is so sad. But he's having so much fun. God, yeah. I don't believe him. I actually think he did play it and enjoyed it, but he's just pandering. Like that's my theory on this, because I mean, come on, like every time do you see a fucking cop get shot in a movie, are you like, oh, I'm turning this off, I'm taking a stand? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry. Like, who believes that shit? And Miles Ian Chong, same thing. Like, did you see the community notes as he responded?
Good.
He's like, well, I'm so glad that it's only optional in Cyberpunk 77.
Yeah.
Actually, he wrote over 150 articles when he worked for GamerRanks about Grand Theft Auto.
I think it was actually
255. Yeah, it was 255, and frequently talked about killing cops and going on crime sprees. Yeah, he was.
Jesus Christ.
He was called out.
It's so childish, but to even say that, it's like children understand more that it's not real. Like, it's not a real thing. It's a video game. You're shooting at pixels. Stupid. I've done some wild shit in GTA, and I'm not a psychopath, so I think all the freakouts about it have been totally unwarranted. People have said that they're upset that a single mother is the protagonist, and I was like, why? Like, in what world is that why is that a problem? I don't know. All right, fine.
Me being raised by a single mother, if there's anybody that's a hero, it would be a single mother. But you know, you don't want to promote that, I guess, or
that they can be heroes.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't play GTA, and honestly, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, but I did see that there was BBLs in the game, so there was that. That's the only thing I have to contribute to Twitter.
But that pissed a lot of people off, too. They were like, oh, this is like going to promote sexuality to children. And I was like, it's not for children. This is a product for adults, but... Yeah.
And Jason Hinkle called it Zionist randomly. He's like, these Zionists at Rockstar, they're promoting this degeneracy. That was the funniest and dumbest shit I've ever seen on Twitter. And like, Twitter is, there's somebody says I'm beating up on elderly in GTA. No, I don't do that. I don't attack the elderly NPCs. But it's funny you think that. No, it's just the moral panic over this game is so funny. And like, we just saw one trailer. So now when we're in this climate where people are really trying to go out of their way to be outrageous and say stupid things to get engagement, like, can you imagine when the release of the game comes out? Like, it's going to be a shit show, but it's going to be funny. It's just ridiculous.
I think the people are planning, like they're going to set up what they are going to say. What is 2025, right? Is that when the game is coming out?
2025, yeah.
It's a long way.
That's a lot of time to plan some stupid stuff to say with some moral outrage.
some fake problems to have. Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson, not Jason. Sorry. Okay, thanks for correcting me, Johnny.
Yeah, he was doing all this banned GTA 6. It's like pornography and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, there's nothing in the trailer that he wasn't doing a year ago on Twitch. He had hot tub streams, you know, with like, you know, with women in bikinis and stuff. Like, it's just hypocrisy because he makes a lot of money. I know, degeneracy. I know, filth.
Yeah. It's brain rotting, but what are you gonna do?
Play GTA 6.
I'm gonna play GTA 6. God, I'm so excited. I'm mad that it's not coming to PC right away, but I will get it on PS5. I would like a PC version, ideally, but
Hell yeah.
it's okay. I'll get my degeneracy any way I could take it.
And also, Kissinger is still dead, so that's other
That's
news.
true.
That's slightly
true.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you feel down, just remember, oh yeah, he's dead.
Cambodia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just never mind.
No, say it. Say it.
No. My kids could watch this. And my cat's right there. I wasn't.
Don't say anything bad.
When I use my projecting voice, she's always back there. She's like a producer on the show or something like that. Like she's always in the back of my YouTube channel and stuff like that when I talk like this. So I would just say Cambodia, and I'll just leave it there when you're talking about that human. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Okay. There was so many people like kissing him goodbye. And like I know it's a thing we do with the dead, you know, we want to be respectful, but like y'all weren't doing that with the dead Cambodians, and of course you weren't. And like, okay, so that's it right there. All right, you got it right there. We're gonna leave it at that.
I think if there's one person everyone should get a pass and not be like tone policed for like, you know, criticizing the fact that it's probably a better thing for him not to be around. It's Kissinger, right?
Yeah.
I got yelled at for saying fuck the Queen when the Queen died. People got so mad at that, and I was like, what? He's like, do you not? Okay, fine. Here we go.
Yeah, people are really weird about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. But like with Kissinger, I feel like all of these feelings you have about death and respecting the dead. Like Kissinger should just automatically, there should be something in your brain where it's like, oh, well, I don't mean him, of course. Like just obviously he's the exception where we can celebrate.
Yeah.
We can piss on his grave, shit on his grave, laugh at his family even, I would argue. It's just, it's fun, you know, laugh at his family grieving, right? To be clear, not them dying. I don't know if they're bad people, but if they loved him, maybe they are. I don't know. And not to go down that. But,
you are digging up rapidly, sir.
I go each time. No, but like there should really be an exception for him.
Well, that's exactly why I had to stop myself, because I'm like, I'm gonna say something crazy. But we live in a country where the gravesite of Fred Hampton and Emmett Till, they had to get bulletproof grave markers because people keep shooting them.
I saw that.
But we have to be kind to a warmonger. Like that's okay. All right. I mean, if that's the rule, I'm not gonna break the rule. Just come on now. Like at least have some consistency here. But you know, what do I know? I'm loving my cat over here on the ottoman. I don't know anything. That's all I know. My cat.
Cambodia.
That's all I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Laos too.
Cambodia. We know what's on your heart. Yeah. Yeah, we know exactly. And also the famous quote from Anthony Bourdain about Cambodia. I think that one.
Once you've seen The Killing Fields, you'll never want to like strangle another human more. And I have never wished like death upon my enemies. I don't do that. There's a very big difference between after someone's gone being like, it's probably a good thing they're not around. They were pretty bad, you know? That's not me saying like, I suddenly believe in capital punishment. I'm just saying, yeah, it's probably a good thing Kissinger's not around to keep doing any more evil. That's all.
Yeah, 100%. That's because like, yeah, you know, we're all leftists. I don't support capital punishment. I do make an exception for Henry Kissinger. Like if he were to go to The Hague, I would support the outcome of that trial, which didn't happen though. So I feel like it's important that we express these things. It's healthy, because if we are just like, oh well, he's gone now, so it doesn't matter. No, the legacy that he left was brutal.
And important to explain to people so that in the future you can be seen as that's bad, right? Like this shouldn't be stuff that we venerate someone for, like, and not even try to do that whole like, well, we have to take the good with the bad. There was some positives, opening up China's like, no, we don't need to do this. We should just explain just the gravity and the impact a single humans in some cases, in other cases collaborations, but can have on the world, for years too.
Most people are complicated. Most of us, we're not just perfectly good people, perfectly bad people. I think most people are mostly good. But like when it comes to Henry Kissinger, there's no gray area there. He is a monster who is responsible for millions of deaths. And I think that, clutching our pearls about people laughing at him dying and doing the crab dance song or playing the crab dance song, like let them have this moment, okay? If they weren't celebrating a monster's death, I would be more worried, honestly. Because it shows that like we care about we actually do care about deaths. You know, despite laughing at this one, we care about the millions that he caused, and I think that's really important. So, like, let us have this, okay? Stop clutching your pearls, people. We're gonna do it anyway, even if you do clutch your pearls. We're gonna laugh at this and celebrate it. So, yeah, the glow. I will admit the glow is fading. Like after he died, I had like a glow for like a week, just like walking around with some extra pep in my step. It is diminishing, but then I thought about it and got happy again. So, yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'm about to go to bed because Before you
leave, Jeff, I just want to say I watched your video on analytics and YouTube and stuff. I'm not trying to hash out drama or anything, but I thought it was really, really good. It reminded me a ton of like when I was starting out in the industry. You were actually really technical and talking about how you do just often get exploited, and I was like, this is a really great breakdown, first POV of someone who's gone through this, because I did the same thing. And yeah, there's a lot of places where it's like, oh, you're up and coming, you want to start out, you gotta get the metrics and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think some people realize how much of it is based on like produce, get out there, get better metrics. And even if you're like, I do have really good metrics, look at my 2 top videos, right? It's like, that's not enough, more. And so I thought that was really good. It was a really great breakdown of it.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, especially coming from your background and everything that y'all currently do, because again, it was statistically insignificant. I will say this, but there was a number of people who were just determined to misunderstand what I was trying to say. Again, for that specific company, I'm not even gonna say who it is right now. I wish them well. I hope I do better, but there were times where like I felt like I couldn't make videos that I was really caring about or passionate about because ones about Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert, who don't deserve the press, might get me more views. And that's just the reality of what's going on. Me being a freelancer, let's just be honest, I was a revenue generator for the company. That's what it is. I recognize that in myself. I was okay with that. I signed up for it. And, so when things started to go downhill, I think what bothered me the most is that none of the people that were along the ride with me didn't say like, hey man, I think we aren't marketing you the way we ought to be or should be. Because as I said in the video, I made the content, I turned it into them. All of you know how important thumbnail and titles are. I didn't do that. And so when things were going well, I credited them. Like I did that consistently. Over my almost 2 years there, I made very similar content. And so when things went well, I credited them. But when things started not to go well, I didn't hear anything. And I didn't get reciprocated the feelings that I gave to them, especially it was last summer when my numbers dipped. And I was like, yo, I need to start making some videos for the audience, because I think I know who the audience was, and things went well. And then when I continued doing that and things didn't go well, no one stepped in and said like, hey man, you're doing your stuff. I don't know what the problem is. And so, again, Lance, I greatly appreciate that, man, because, like, people who were determined to misunderstand me made it seem like I was trying to like ruin the company or something like that. And
no, I never even saw it as a drama video in any way. Like I know you instantly would think that just by clicking on the typo, but like I was like, this is just a really honest breakdown of how hard like the crunch can be and how demanding it can be, and and how much
you have to constantly feed the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think half of the video is me just talking about the role of a freelancer, because I didn't know before I got involved. And so anybody who watches that video, hopefully they can say, oh, that's what it's like to do your own stuff versus some work for another company. And it's difficult. It's not easy stuff at all. So again, I thank you. I'm glad people are watching it, but I'm glad you said that. Cause like after a couple, I strategically, I put the video out on Thanksgiving morning, cause I was like, well, people aren't going to do stuff. So come and watch Jeff. And, my wife was like, oh, like, have you seen the comments? And I'm like, no. And she's like about to go fight people.
Oh, no. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I was like, I was asking by it. I was like, if you are leaving to go to bed, plug all your channels and stuff like that.
Yeah, let people know where they can find you, because you have a YouTube channel, you're posting videos, and it's amazing content.
Thank you. I have a YouTube channel called We Gonna Be All Right. I just did a video earlier today I made a video about rap music earlier in the summer, and then people told me that rap music glorifies crime. And so I talked about the Menendez brothers. I talked about all the movies made for Jeffrey Dahmer, all the movies made for Ted Bundy, all the movies made for Bonnie and Clyde. all this glorifying we do of crime and criminals in this country to where certain ones become famous, but y'all want to talk about rap music? I mean, okay, kind of seems like rap music are very aware of the fact that like this country really likes true crime. And so even if I'm not into gun toting, I will pretend like I'm into that just to sell you records. So that video came out today. Again, my YouTube channel is called We Gonna Be All Right. I'm so thankful for anybody who's gonna watch it.
Go subscribe.
Go
yes,
subscribe.
please,
Go sub, go
please.
thumbs up, go comment, do all the things.
Yeah.
All
Right
that
now.
stuff.
Right
And,
now.
So I will do this before I go. It will be a Leftist Mafia exclusive. I get access every day. My architect knows Japanese is a lyric from a Childish Gambino song. I don't have an architect. I don't think I know anybody who knows Japanese. It is a rap song that I like. When I signed up to be on Rebel HQ, I was going to be like a fake news anchor. And so one thing I said to myself was like, if I'm a fake news anchor, I'm going to need a news anchor sign off. And I bring hip hop everywhere with me. And so it was just a weird lyric that I wanted to say to people. And so for the people who knew where it came from, it was a nod to them. And for the people who refused to Google it, it would just be the mess with them. But now there are people who are like, oh, you're boasting about having an architect. How dare you?
Oh my
and I'm like,
God.
And I'm like,
That's a weird cancellation.
and I'm like, I'm a freelancer and a YouTuber. You think I have an architect? How much do you
Let alone a
pay your-
multilingual one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you think I got a polyglot architect? Like, no, how much you think AdSense is paying me? So, Leftist Mafia exclusive. So, chop that up and send it out to people. No, it doesn't mean anything deeper than it's a Childish Gambino song called Sweatpants. It is no reference to anything else. I just wanted to mess with people, but apparently I've angered a lot of people. So
weird.
Leftist Mafia
doesn't take
exclusive,
much.
baby. Yes, yeah. But hey, thank y'all so much for having me. Fans of y'all are fans of mine, and they were in my comment section saying like how good it would be for us to connect. So I'm glad that finally happened.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to have you back anytime too. Always happy to bring on cool people, and you're a cool person. And everybody, you better go subscribe right now. There's 1,200
Go
people
sub.
watching, so Jeff better have at least 1,000 new subs, okay? And I say that because everyone else should already be subscribed. So
Agreed.
Everyone else should already be subscribed. But for the new people, you are more than welcome. And thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good one.
yeah, you take care.
That's great. Thank you for coming on.
That was awesome. Before you guys start super chats, could I just I got to peace out because I got to take Chico for a walk. Can I quickly say, everybody, we want to do an awesome clip show for y'all. I know we had the 1 year anniversary episode. Technically, it was the last episode, so we actually just like spaced out on that. So every single one of you, send me your favorite clip from the Leftist Mafia. It can be from the first episode or this one that you just watched. Send me your favorite clips. All you got to do is give me a timestamp of where to find it in a link of a YouTube channel or whatever. Just give me a link with a timestamp so I can find it. I'll compile them all. Just go to wearesurfs.com. Wearesurfs.com. There's an email place you can just send links there. Just click on contact, email me, and I'll throw them into a compilation video for the start of the next episode to celebrate. All right. So pick your favorite episodes, send them to me, and we'll all have a good laugh.
You don't gotta send the you don't gotta send the Harry Potter sorting cap because that's already on the that's already there. I know it was
that's
early
been
on.
his choice.
I think it downplays the rest of what we've done because we peaked too early. We peaked too early.
True.
That's the problem.
Yeah, 420 was a fun episode too, so you can look there. The first couple of episodes I think were great. Harry Potter, of course, #1 favorite clip of all time. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, I love you both. I'll see you soon. I gotta go. Have fun.
God bless you.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
I'm also going to raid into the Humanist Report right now. So if you're watching this on Twitch, you don't have to worry. You'll easily go from the here to there. And a big thank you to Peacefire Now for the raid, WVal35 for subscribing, and to Peppa Gacy for subscribing as well. I'll go enjoy the Humanist Report. I love you all. You're valid. Please click the mods, and I will see you all later.